foundation of that is that we need to be the world leaders in technology. Having said that, though, and you could talk about this across technologies, and whether it's aggressive application of genetic technologies, but we have the exact same argument about autonomous killer weapons. Because if you are a defense minister of a country and if you are developing autonomous killer weapons, you're laying a foundation for maybe humans being wiped out. But if you're not, you are empowering the other country that is making those investments. And so, but I think that we can't sacrifice. We need to be competitive. We can't sacrifice.
Oh, hello everybody. I thought I might do a call to this here fella. Just talked to him not too long ago. Yes, indeed. And I thought I would give him a call. And it's not him. It's not this fella at all. No, sirree. No, sirree. Let us go to what we call master nodes. Unique. I'll just play some of those and let us get the famous Wolf of Winchester on the phone. God, this is going to be wild. This is going to be crazy. I don't actually know. I don't even know what to ask in terms of the advisement here. But I'm going to do it anyway. Maybe I won't do it anyway. Huh.
The wireless customer you are calling is not
Oh. Well, here, let's try to text him real quick, and maybe you'll have a minor monologue. Maybe I should have a minor monologue. All right. For recording. All right, we're going to see if he comes back. This particular page, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Master Nodes Online. This is what I keep trying to mention to you guys, right? So you go down here, you got something called the old Divi project. I'm somewhat, doing my best to encroach on that project, which, is somewhat minor, but maybe I'm going to stop it. Yep, maybe I'm going to stop it. No, I'll keep it going for the time being. Anyway, the point is this. This fella, Midas, is a very interesting one. I don't really know if I have any... 4 is interesting. What I was going to say is I don't know whether or not I have any positive benefit in mentioning Midas, because for some reason there's something that seems a little wobbly about their business practices, which might be just, or janky. I might say janky. 4 is interesting, although I read the properties and thought about it, and it seemed attractive. And but I certain things, I guess I'm reserving. Certain facts I'm reserving. Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, this one, what do you call it over here? See these dApps, people like the dApps. And these are master nodes, and master nodes are hierarchically posted or staked. Kind of like if you owned you could buy a board of the directors. The second highest office would be somebody on the board, I guess, of the company. And then you got the CEO or the CFO or whatnot. Anyway, master nodes are kind of like if the board had lots and lots of people on it, but But anyway, there's these boards. Anyway, Stick Cube coin is very interesting as well. Look at that, Prime. Here, let's just click on this little fella. I like the way the computer is set up. Of course, this is the Brave browser. You're gonna love the Brave browser. So even that you get BAT for. Okay, what is it? Oh, Prime. Oh, see, I'm being an idiot. The reason I'm being an idiot is because I'm not online trading right now. Or I'm just not online trading. And I'm not even an online trader is the thing. Get paid for inviting friends. It's like, hey, we got an exchange, but, we're going to multi-level it also. And I think a lot of people need to become aware of that as an actual access path. Like, it runs counterintuitive to the ethos of investment or money building, and yet it itself is an array through the economy that plenty of people have historically and even currently used to benefit themselves and others by access, by introduction, by relationship. And hopefully, if anybody does become interested, I can walk through the steps of how it is I know what it is I know about these things financially. But it feels like kind of a sideline, like a sellout routine. But I'm in the pinch that I'm in, and this is a little peculiar. This is a little peculiar that I'm recording this at all. There's the software right there. So that being said, see, I didn't even hook up a camera. Right, I get this lately. It's weird, like camera-aphobia and connection-aphobia in some cases. Meaning, I need to set it up the whole thing before I do this. This is almost just like it was gonna mimic the last video I had with Piro in the fact that it's a conversation and they're both males and they're both, I think Piro said he was also from California originally, or I don't know, maybe he said he was from Ohio, I forget. But in any case, the Wolf of Winchester, he didn't call back, and so I was just sidelining there. I was just going to let you guys look at master nodes as a symbolic representation of what other humans might be relative to you. Like if you're a pawn not in life, but in your position relative to, let's say, a corporation, there may be bishops, there may be rooks. Knights, on the other hand, who knows? Who knows who the knights are in companies? I mean, I'm sure there are some. And it would be interesting to be a knight in a company, even if I had a golfer suit on. Yes. Someone asked what my power animal was, and I thought, God, what's my power animal? As of late. Because even the Brave browser, as you'll see over here, folks, is a lion. The lion that set you free. The lion in the 21st century. The lion. James Brown. And so the real problem is that certain people don't know how to tumble towards and forward in life. Oh, it might be back on. Here we go. We're going to get it. I think we're on and on air, not streaming, but future on airisms, Wolf, a.k.a. of Winchester. I'll just call you that unless you want me to refer to you as anything else.
Is this on record? Are you recording?
Yeah, this will be unfiltered.
Okay.
But, well, and let, so just, so you know.
So what are you doing?
Meaning, to proceed forward, you're agreeing that I get to post our conversation freely online.
I suppose.
So there were these fags, and they weren't homosexual. But they weren't homosexual. Or, maybe you're metro or bi, or just homo. Good glazier on. I don't know what a knight is for a company. What would a knight look like in a company? Like if there was a knight in your company, like let's say you're a pawn in your company and your manager is a bishop, and you're trying to figure out, okay, there's rooks, but those might be like the first that are traded out for robots, the ones that just make the right hand move. Yeah, just put some books and shit on it. The robot will take it across the way. Like you guys got a lot of robots in your employment, or without answering that, would you say what would you say a knight would be in a company? If just out of curiosity, what would the spirit animal of a knight be in a company? That might be a more difficult question, not a less clarifying question, actually. But since you were asking me for 100 words to describe Das Pook, and that I needed some time for that. I still need some time for that.
Are you going to disclose it here, or are you going to write me privately?
Am I going to disclose it here, or am I going to hidey-righty it? Tidy it.
You're going to private message me.
Oh, what? The link to this video?
The 100 words or less.
Oh, the 100 words or less. Oh, yeah, I could probably do that. I could probably type something up. A little synopsis. Oh, so I wrote a book called The Autobiography of Das Pook, written by the Wolf of Winchester. And the thing, and it's got a foreword by Das Pook. And it's less than 100 words. Here it is. Something like that. Who knows? Well, and I shouldn't say that like autobiography. That's perishably mimicking. And you, unlike me, are not a master mimic. I mean, you're good at mimicking, but you're not a master mimic. Meaning you might be a master, but you're not a grandmaster mimic. I, on the other hand, believe that I am capable of that. I'm very plastic. Not in all ways. When you did that, I suppose so answer in that less than masculine, more like Peter Pan, maybe not Peter Pan, more like I don't know. Anyway, how are you doing? What's the topic of the moment? While
I'd rather not disclose it, but I'm just thinking, why are these windows so big? And like they're just so big. These bathroom windows, they're just so. I don't know. How's this?
Mirrors.
No, windows to the outside. Just.
No, I figured that you were probably pissing or taking a dump. Oh man, I had to buy new Q-tips today, so I picked up 5 packs of blades. I had to spend way too much at the dollar store. Felt kind of bad because I let my account zero out, and then I found an extra $15 on Venmo, and I was like, shit, yeah, I gotta send that over, because I had only bounced it by like $4, so I saved my own ass today, and I felt good about it. I had no idea that feeding the homeless $10 was X, Y, and Z, and I had no idea paying for a blow device in my vehicle would cost. I mean, it was supposed to be $210. The dude charged me like $225. That's $15 more. And so when someone's balancing their budget like that, you know, it gets janky. Gets a little slick. Okay, and back to you. Sounds Sounds like we're having a... Okay, so I'm not... meaning I can't mimic you, and by mimic, I don't mean mimic your voice, but I could mimic your intonations. Even if I can't whistle all the world's greatest tunes. But I can whistle if I know it, I can kind of whistle it. But it's
Could you whistle?
Did you figure out what that first whistle was I did before?
No, but could you whistle the greatest sentimental love ballad of the world? Could you whistle that to me, please?
I don't know that.
Well, you do. You do. If you could whistle the Jetsons theme song, if you could whistle MASH theme song, you could whistle to me the greatest sentimental love ballad of the world to me.
Yeah, well, sedimental maybe with a bunch of sand and grit. But no, I'd be reserving that for another, I think.
You could reserve that for the AI.
I don't think everybody is so dystopic about the idea of reproduction. Everybody thinks they're going to hit the wall in any moment now. Although I was just listening to this guy on the Weinstein Portal YouTube, and the guy looks like his power animal is a mouse or a rat, like a shaved rat, but an intelligent rat. But it was just if I had to personify, like I did in my last painting, a rat, I would think, oh, this guy looks like a well-shaven, and then he kind of like became that in my mind. And I haven't animalized people so much, but I was thinking, because somebody asked what my power animal was. That's why I guess you were like, I was getting you to guess, but you didn't guess about what the power animal of a knight, if you were a pawn in a company, is a chess game, or one half of a chess game, right? Then how do you, who's the knight in the company? Like, what does it mean to be the knight? And then once you know what just think about the company that you work for, or any company you work for. Who moves like a knight?
Who moves in those L shapes?
Well, not just who moves in an L shape, but what's the benefit, or what character in a company moves like a knight?
Well, there's a lot of ladders in my warehouse. There's a lot of ladders and conveyor belts, and knights can't go up ladders, can they?
Well, you went up and kicked something down and got admonished for it at that one point. Yeah,
that's
and
true.
that is a good answer, actually. L shapes going upwards they're playing 3D chess. Yep. This knight is playing 3D chess. But, so, I don't know. It was good to talk to Piro because he seemed to kind of cool down my notion of the speed in which impending trends are going to affect my world, or our world, or our overarching world. That was a really bad warm up.
Could you see Saturn from your location? Is the planet Saturn, visible from your location at night?
Yeah, it's not below the horizon. It's not below the horizon line. I wouldn't be certain where it is in the night sky right now. I'd probably point upward instead of more sideways.
Just point your finger at Saturn and wag your finger in an authoritarian manner. Just wag your finger at Saturn and just point at it. And
what, you want Apollo to guard for me? Or
just envision Saturn as all clergymen of the world, the sterility of the world, the psychological embodiment of Saturn is, these clergymen, and they're looking down at you, influencing your behavior.
Did the clergymen have kids themselves?
Clergymen that speak Latin up in Saturn.
What, you mean no? And not Mormon yes? Like, yes, our priests have families. Catholics, theirs don't.
Just stern, decrepit old men sitting on a slab of rock up there on one of Saturn's moons or something. Maybe not. Maybe just they're up there and they're influencing your behavior. And you just point your finger up at Saturn and say, "Why, Saturn? Why? Why am I so fucked up?"
Are you feeling fucked up right now, or are you just saying that that's what I should do with Saturn?
Just move your. Do you have a leather chair? Just move your chair.
No.
Can you put your chair out on the balcony?
No, I have just been hoofing it all around, and I know you want me to go out and point and wag at Saturn. I know you want me to. My ass, my hip hurts bad, my ankles don't feel great. But
yes, and they're also, if we're going by the Carta Marina map, this old ancient sea map, there's this cryptid known as the Sea Monk, and the Sea Monk raises storms from time to time, out of frustration, of course, because he's the monk of sterility. So not only are there monks and clergymen up in Saturn, or inhabiting several of Saturn's moons, influencing your behavior.
Well, you know what I told Piero about it? Like, I immediately asked Piero after he said his brother-in-law had killed himself. I said, well, I was dumbfounded. It wasn't even a punchline. I basically asked him, Piero, what is it about you that you have this kind of and type of death about you? Like, around you? And he said, interesting question, right? And, meaning, I think, he didn't say, like, man, it's just 3 strokes of bad luck. He didn't say that. And after he told me how he thought about his daughters, I thought that it sounded like an interpreted mythos, and he was also describing, like, subconscious pretexts to the events of his daughters' suicides. And I said something like this. I said, and then later on, and this was a little rude, I said, so Piero, do you think that your daughters just saw an impending wave of disaster and death in front of them? They just got a head start. And he said, he thought that was an interesting thought also. And then he went on to the description of the mythology of his daughters. I think as dragons, one entering into the afterworld and opening the parenthesis or the bracket, and then the next one exiting and closing it. And then earlier when we were talking, I think I said something about, you and I think I said something like that may be a form of death denial by Piero, but I didn't mention that to Piero, and it didn't dawn on me until I was talking to you earlier. But anyway, so and keep in mind that we're recording. But how's your mom since we last talked?
Well, like I said earlier, she's thinks now that things calmed down a bit and some time has passed, I think she's handling it the best she could in those circumstances.
But at the time in which
at the time it was.
Do you want me to not mention it, or should I mention it? I can mention it, right? Your mom's sister is ventilated and most likely brain dead beyond recovery, and so it's a type of loss. Yes. And I made some crude notion that you should stick battery cables on her ears, or Frankenstein something shocker, get the heart paddles on and put them on her temples and just see what happens, because, who's the doctor to say somebody's brain dead?
I'm glad you're reiterating this to the audience.
Well, I don't know how to save people from death. Meaning I don't know how to magically. Meaning I'm not prophetic. I'm experienced, but I'm not prophetic. I may be intuitive. I may be centered. I may be verbally self-indulgent or presumptive, and I might be a complete moron. I may be a useful idiot.
Made up of several bags of potatoes.
I'm just a bag of potatoes. And Joe bag of donuts.
To a black urban area to the barber shop and get some jerry curls and maybe buy a white glove, because you're just like a piggish bag of potatoes.
I don't even know what a jerry curl is. I don't even know what it looks like. I keep thinking of like a Hasidic curl or a Michael Jackson curl as a jerry curl.
I don't know. Maybe you could just go to a slaughterhouse where they slaughter pigs and just, I don't know. I'm sure there's some pig grease you can use for your jerry curl too.
Anyway, I wasn't trying to make light of this. Okay, so I wrote this. I wrote, why is my love life so uncommon, such that it's twisted and weird, but no weirder than the ricochet of my art? My way of art. I wanted it to never end, but concerned myself about the scare that she is a billion times more than I could possibly imagine.
Do you read that to young girls you meet in the park to woo them, to unnerve them?
No, no, I don't read to anyone in the park. I mean, I may have read something to somebody in the park, or I may have been on a microphone reading something in the park. That's all I got. Thank you very much. Thank you, Das Perk, for your new banjo of the mouth. The mouth banjo, I believe they call those things. Mouth banjos. Like bodegas and habaneros or mouth banjos. And that's just how you sounded, like you had a bodega stuffed in your mouth, and you also had a jalapeno stuck in your mouth, and you were freaking and blowing on that thing like the jalapeno didn't affect you at all. So the conversation that we're having right now is pretty haphazard. How should we coordinate it? I think that you could possibly also be part of the human animalia of the rat, and or your type of wolf is a very lanky one. And I don't mean that in any metaphorific way, like, man, you're a rat. Because you're more like maybe a mouse. Like this guy was a mouse, but man, Weinstein's like a bear or a possum or something, He's like a dinosaur turd with hair on it and jerry curls or something.
What about his young boy?
I don't know. I never saw his young boy. I don't know anything about his young boy. But no, man, when I talk to people in the park, it's off the cuff and it's all ages and it's all of anyone. All of everyone.
Could you do do that old favorite, I love to hear that dime joke that you do, that old favorite, that the pussy lip joke. Could you make that joke?
No, could you tell me what joke you're talking about? Could you tell everyone what joke you're talking about, please?
It goes like, hey, Toots, your pussy is like, the lips of your pussy is as long as your dad's dick. Is that why your pussy lips are so big?
Oh, that one. Oh, yeah.
Like that.
No.
I think it goes something like that.
No,
and then you say, and then make the cunt joke. What's the cunt joke? The hairs of the cunt. You love to make those kind of jokes too. How does that one go?
I don't know. You got to remind me of that one. I mean, you reminded me of the first one, but
we'll do the first one. I think that's your one-hit number. What's the one-hit number? I reminded you
that women that are born from guys that have big dicks. Do you think the women that are born from guys that have big dicks? Do you think that they have long vaginal cavities? And or is that vaginal cavity just a big hairy cunt, like a big drippy cunt? Or no, I didn't know. That's not the cunt joke. But see, that's just rotten shit to say, But I did ask, and so what are you saying? You just want me to tell the crowd? Yes, we were hanging out in not Corona, but Riverside. By some old, like, Catholic temple or some clay monument where some event of Corona Riverside occurred. And we were sitting out across, we were next to this bookstore across from a cafe. And some lady comes walking by, and I was just gonna ask her
you were very cordial and polite with her. Hey, miss, excuse me, miss, I would like to tell you something. Oh, really? What? My hair? You like my hair?
No, it's it's only because I told you I was going to do it. It was almost like a bet. Like, hey, like you got to take a poll on these things, right? Like, what do other people think? And so, because you and I had a project we were going through, which we were gonna take a poll on it. I think that may have been the impetus. Whether or not you knew we were going to take a poll on it or not, that's how I was approaching the situation.
Just the day in the life of a clown and his descriptions of how he describes middle-aged cunts.
No. Look, women's genitals are generally very interesting. They're generally very beautiful. I don't find them.
They're like exotic cave systems you can explore.
To some extent, to the extent that they want you to explore them or explore them in certain ways.
But you love pointing out the terrain of certain cave systems.
Well, it's like that old wombat lady that I actually appreciate as a friend and an ex-lover. I'll just call her K.C. or just not K.C. That doesn't work, actually. That's now this just be I'll just say K. Okay. And anyway, but what I meant by that was that she's Chris, right? So K.C. would be like Chris. Either way. Anyway, the point is I sure liked that lady, and but I remember I was getting a phantom heron for, God forbid, like maybe the last, the last 20-ish years of, I don't know when the stigma came about. But there was something called a phantom hair. And anyway, the way that Chris had let, I guess, her once clipped beeve grow out, that it was a little scraggly at one point, and anyway, the point is that I was having a difficult time doing the things, some things that I like to do generally, but it seemed something that was weird was this trace, this element that's shown up periodically, which is a phantom hair, like the sense that you got a pube on the inside of your cheek, and you just know it's there, and so you're so distracted by this phantom hair, and you just want to get it out. You just want to spit it out, and you're wondering, like, what is it that's causing this phantom hair? Because you actually, at least in my case, believe that there's a hair in your mouth, just to realize that there's not, to the point now where, and I shouldn't even be mentioning this, right? Because I feel like it's uncouth towards future relationship possibilities, but not necessarily. And anyway, so the point is that the fine art of cunnilingus sometimes has its you have to do some bushwhacking, but not so much anymore, not in the modern day. And Christy was caught somewhere in the middle of that transition. She was running a little straggly, and I don't know what to say about it. Damn it, I said Christy. Okay, anyway, so there we go. There we go. That's the whole cunt story, and thanks. I don't remember it being a joke or a punchline. Like, you have not discussed it yet. Please, interlocutor. What reference was I using the term that you were... Like the UK people just call each other cunts? Okay, cunt. Okay, man, it was just real good talking to you. I'll talk to you later, cunt.
Yes.
And do you...
Something like that.
Okay, so...
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me ask you this.
Well, let me ask you this.
No, does the does society need to decriminalize the N-word? Meaning, should it decriminalize it for white people?
Decriminalize it.
Yeah, decriminalize it.
I don't think there's a crime in saying the N-word.
You don't think so? You don't think that's innately part of hate speech laws, just for a white person to use it? How about socially decriminalized? Socially decriminalized. Meaning where, and then I thought, well, how do you do that? Right? And when you talk to black folks from America that travel to Ireland, and they throw around the cunt word, or they travel to the Eastern Bloc, and it's a joyous reference, or one that doesn't have the same historic connotation to it from that cultural region. It's like forgiven by the more opulent minds, I guess, as a cultural difference that doesn't have the baggage. And so I guess the contrast that they have, because they're matured to that idea, is that at that point they either decide, like, hey, I'm in America, and if this guy's American, he's going to run this American standard. Anyway, it's a long question, but what do you think? Any of the viewing members can always answer that question too. I think it's peculiar, and I would argue in favor of it not being decriminalized. Possibly. How do you get
in favor of not being decriminalized?
Yeah, well, meaning you're capable. I could argue a case for it to not be decriminalized just based on it being a functional threat, along with the name of one of the countries that were colonized and mapped and named in Africa by probably not necessarily English people, but perhaps by colonial spread and Western manifest destiny and, global colonial, what Europe did to the world, including China. Historically in the past, they already did Africa. They did it's a weird fact of interaction. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying by this, but what do you and I aren't juggling so well.
Well, I don't often imagine myself in situations where I feel like my form of speech would be a threat to others. Unlike you, who often go out and who say provocative things just to get a kick out of it. It's not something I do, so it's not really. Only time I ever think about these things is when I'm doing, I don't know, something creative. But I don't. I never foresee myself ever saying the N-word out in public or cunt out in public or
well, why wouldn't you though? I mean, every now and again.
Out in public.
Well, like I have this painting that is, as much as Mark Twain's Nigger Jim has been outlawed, or not outlawed, but like censored away with the kind of approach at the most cautionary descriptions of non-white cultures by a white language such as English, which is predominated globally as the business language and hence the homogenous shared language, even though more people probably speak Spanish, more countries than people do in English. English is still the language of business, and so it has proffered itself that way. In any case, this fella, he lives in Virginia and he's a collector of my clown work. And he's got this painting that I call Monkey Clown. And it's a pointy Caucasioid clown with 2 earrings. And it's got multiple layers like shark teeth in humans, kind of, but more like just the way you see certain humans with stacked teeth. And it's very pointy and very rigid, and he has that and several other of my clown paintings. And anyway, he was asking me about Happy Purple Clown, which I sold to this black fella in the park earlier this year, and he was wondering about the Blowhard, aka the Whistler. And I look at this as like an imprint kind of a couple friends from way back when meshed in this like very kinky hair. It's like the guy passes as a blue Negro that's kissing at you or blowing at you, and I tell people, I say it's this if you could imagine the face, the cloud face that's blowing the other clouds, right? He's kind of like the colored version of it. So he's got red hair and a green beard and really pink big lips, and he's got kind of darker eyebrows, darker orange eyebrows, and he has 0 eyelashes, but his nose is more pointy and bows downward, but his lips are puckered. So in one way, even though it's not portrayed well, it's as if his lips are pressing against a glass, but his nose isn't. And so that's why it looks like a whistler also to me, like a whistler that's pulling back their lips and getting ready to blow. A little time and blah 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 beep deep dup deep deep boom boom deep boom 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 deep doom dup deep dup. I feel like perhaps this is one of my more moronic videos. I'm still nervous about tomorrow. I'm still nervous. I was nervous about today. Today I blew so much money that I zeroed my account out. That was nuts. Boom. What is today's date?
23rd.
I'm officially broke as of November 24th, 2020. Well, I'm always scooting on the bottom. Not always, but, my track record trends there.
So why did you want to record this conversation and call me back?
No, it wasn't this conversation. Well, I didn't know how constipated you were going to be about talking about shit, and it seems like you're, putting on your fancy clothes for anything that, kind of a protectionism of the idea that we're being there. So now you're like it's like my brother, man. When Vince was living here, Vince is a black fella, right? And when he was living here, my brother would show up and he'd be like, "Hey, man, how's it going? What's up, Jack? Give me 5," right? Like, my brother would, like, less eloquently than that, he'd be, like, doing all these black moves and black talk, and everything was just the same way that the tension with you to go public, automatically you want to push the limit. Like, hey, let's just push this limit with us, poop. Let's talk about let's just talk about the cunts and vaginas. And maybe I brought it on by asking the legalization.
You were prodding me, and you were getting okay, it's me versus him, and he's going to war with me.
No, I'm not going to war with you. I'm not trying to go to war with you. I was just trying to. I think that it's just kind of interesting that people can, that I'm recording. You're okay with me recording, unlike my cat out here that's freezing on the porch. So I didn't leave the window open for him to jump in this time. Not that there's snow on the ground. I don't know. Yep, they said it's cold. The homeless people said it's cold. Anyway, so it's not like that. It wasn't like that. I'm not being adversarial to you. I don't believe I'm trying to be adversarial to you. But my point about my brother and Vince, and I told my brother, I'm like, dude, look, okay, he's got it.
Did he put a blackface on?
No, but see, there you go again, right? Like, hey, I'm just going to push a limit. No, he didn't put a blackface.
How should I interact in this?
Well, why don't you let me...
Do you have a certain expectation of me to conduct myself?
No. I let you cut me off all the time when I'm mid-story. But, no, I do. And you do cut off stories because you think you got a zinger you're going to roll out, or for whatever reason, it's your opportune time to do it.
Why not?
What? No, I don't. I don't mind that you do it. I don't know.
I'll just keep in mind that it's your. I'm on the Das Spook show.
Well, it is the Das Spook show. Well, yeah, I'm the host of tonight's show. I can stop the recording at any time. I have the power to let my cat in. But you have the power to cut me off if need be. But anyway, so
I wasn't going out of my way to cut you off mid-sentence.
No, I know you, but the point is that I had to explain. I had to explain to my brother because he had a childhood friend, God. Let me think. God. Anyway, he had a childhood friend that was black, and it was this guy named Walter. And then there was this other family that was black that grew up around the corner from us, probably from L.A. or something, New York or Chicago, something like that. And they were young, everybody was elementary school age. And then anyway, and so I think after Walter and Jake parted ways in like junior high or in high school, they're friends now. I think Jason was trying to develop this like weird black culture thing because, I don't know, I would mimic Michael Jackson and moonwalk and stuff like that. And, we'd watch Airplane and the guys would get, say no bang blood, what's happening? This weird shit that are affectations off of movies. And anyway, so the thing was, I still told him, I was like, okay, now Jake, you've been over here like 3 times now, right? Like, because all Vince would say is, what would he say exactly? He's like, man, your brother is far out. or your brother is something else, and he'd be like smoking a cigarette on the porch, shaking his head. Yeah, well, anyway, and so because I did explain to Jake, I'm like, look, man, every and this wasn't guided by Vince. This is why Vince and I got along, but I said, look, Jake, okay, you've established that you're not black and that he's black and that you can make this pun and this play, but does everything have to be about him being black? And he's like, oh man, shit. Like, I didn't even think about that. It was just odd in some way where, like, his defense of somebody wrapped in different skin, I guess, was, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gracious. Like, I like to point out differences and play into the margins like you do. Like some people do, cutting people off. Hey, let me just cut through. We were down the back nine and we see you got caught up on the 3 and we were going to go around and do the front 9. We just want to play through.
I guess that's the very peculiar paradox that you have about yourself.
That you want to be a golfer. Shit.
And I want to be a golfer.
You are a golfer, like at heart. Like, I think that will be your proudest days. You'll be on like a golf course and you'll be wearing that diamond sweater, probably like purple with some turquoise, a little bit of turquoise and brown. And you'll have a little golf hat on, a little thing, and you'll be like some shorts. And you'll be swinging it, and you'll like, these are my kids, and that's synthetic goat, and well, there's my stepson who's my caddy, and like I'm swinging the back 9. Oh, look, darling, who we brought over here. I don't know, I'm using
Remember
British.
When you were going back to
Sorry, go ahead.
Phantom Hairs.
Oh yeah.
Would you agree that? When you, isn't it true? I'm just going to lay it on you. Yes, that you, when you have the urge to take a shit, you prolong that urge. You prolong it just to feel the bodily sensation of the shit going in and out of your asshole.
No, that's what you do.
Equivalent of a phantom, phantom.
No, that's what
object.
Yeah, no, I don't do that. You do that, and you're trying to try to project it. Yeah, you do that.
Okay, it's like projecting your idealized love onto a slab of rock. You're not homo curious?
I don't overly dwell, so no, I wouldn't say I'm homo curious. Because I'm cis solidified, right? Like I'm cis solidified, where you're more metro, you're more bi, you're more gendery. It's one of your hallmarks of retraction, but it's kind of like my older brother. My older brother being gay, right? I was making some joke. My mom was there, and I'm like, so I think that people can be gay from culture, and I think really because Mom, and I'm just pointing to her right there while I'm talking to Doug, is like, hey, I think that they can. I think that the way you're raised culturally probably made you gay, and having Mom wearing the pants in the family, and you being the first kid, seeing how, like Dad was kind of functioning like a pawn, even though another interpretation would be like, whatever, they're the whole backbone and spine in the background, while Mom's kind of in the foreground, at least in my particular case. But my point was that the aggressiveness or the heavy-handedness of the mother, because my brother had something about this Mother movie where this big mom comes in at the end and smashes a house, and he really liked that movie, but I don't even remember the name of it. It wasn't called Big Mama's House. It was some horror film. Not that those movies weren't also horror films in their own right, but funny. I liked them. The Wayne brothers. And, what was his name? Yeah. I'll have to think about it. Anyway, where was I going with any of this?
I apologize. I'm such a terrible guest.
Yeah, you're shitty. Like, lead me on. Like, tie the ropes
Sorry.
together. Like, I'm gonna do dishes here for something.
Oh man, could you please tell the audience why you took a piss in the sink yesterday?
Oh, I took a piss in the sink yesterday because I started my very first conversations with people I talk to, or something like that. Right? It's the start of my new series, and so I was kind of coming in with a collared shirt attitude, but I knew that the screen was relatively going to be innocuous in any case, because it was more about the conversation than it was about the graphic on the screen. And anyway, but for some reason, and the screen just happened to be black with Piro yesterday. I didn't want to record myself pissing. But earlier I was thinking about mirrors, how things are mirrorish in some ways, and they're also refractive and reflective, and some refractions are crystallized and solidified, and certain aspects would be lost if the geometry of said crystal wasn't the geometry that it was solidified as. And so that being said, I'm like observing people's reflections and reflections, and in some case some shadow work. And I guess I spent a long time rambling through those, but ultimately it's my little world that I'm saying I'm mimicking off of things. But that had me like earlier thinking about this discussion I had with Azrianok, Jeff Smith. Used to be Jeff Smith Ludke, but Jeff Smith, and he said he could talk to his cats and to his animals. He said, yeah, we do. We talk to them. And I'm like, yeah, do they talk back? And he's like, yeah, they do. They're talking back. And I'm like, and is this like, this is it was like, he had more confidence in his general sense of human to animal. You could pass a virus through him. That's how close it was. Anyway, he was bisexual, and but he got married, and then he got divorced, and that's how he lost his surname of Ludke. And then he met another woman. He had a child. Named the child after a financial instrument. The most rudimentary of financial instruments, but well, maybe not the most rudimentary. The most rudimentary paper No. Anyway, financial institutions. Anyway, and the kid wasn't named Banksy either. But oddly enough, the guy was doing knockoff murals of Banksy in Louisiana, and got a write-up for it. Yeah. And so, anyway, the point is that he being bisexual, also fathered a child. And good to meet you. And how's everybody doing? And how's everybody doing, land? And anyway, I didn't know what to do. I was listening to some very smart people, and and I felt very dumb. Yes, I did feel very dumb. See, that's kind of funny.
Sorry, I did pull out my automated laugh track.
I know, I like it. I thought that. Well, you got me wanting to turn everything into comedy mode, and I don't know. I'm gonna do my best here in just a short sec. But this one's called the Loop-de-Loop in the Toilet Bowl. It's for guys only, generally. It's just easier for the guys. You do a little X, you do a little down, you do a little round, you do a little round, you do a figure eight, and you do the figure eight on the side, and then you piss in the mouth of the... See, no comedy. No comedy tonight. Today is pure... I don't know, I was thinking how retinal candy is tied to my clothing line called Rude and Crude. And I was on there, and I was reading my t-shirt that said, "Clits are really big taste buds." And it kind of made me think, like, oh my God, like if I had a daughter of a certain age and somebody, a man or a woman, walked by with a t-shirt that said that, it reminded me back in college that are you still there?
Yeah.
In college, there was this joke that was kind of built up in a group of misunderstanding each other. Like, I thought you said this, and he thought you said that, and it also had to do with a wheat. What was it called? It was a type of a donut that was kind of like not a Wiener Schnitzel, but like a West Checkle, or I forget the name of the donut company. But anyway, this donut company was handing out these bumper stickers, and so the thing was like a I Heart and their company name, and anyway, so I know I don't have the company name right, but out of the letters we were able to write I Heart Fried Hyman. Right, out of the letters of these bumper stickers. And so we made a bumper sticker. I had a bumper sticker that said I Heart Fried Hyman. And I wore that around, but it was my friend had put it together at the end. It was like when I was playing chess with this master, right? And I had beaten him before. And I had a game and he knew it, but I had to think longer to beat him. He was faster, but he was just more acute. And but I was whipping him at the earlier age, and then we met up again later. And anyway, so when we met up again later, a few years later, like 4 years later, we replay. And anyway, I get really close to this corner, and I'm meditating on it, and he just grabs my piece, moves it, grabs his piece, which was required one other move. His whole position could only move one other position. So he made that move, and then he moved another one of my pieces, finding the mate. Like, he found the mate upon himself that I was searching for before I could find it. So it was incredible. Life's incredible. I think it's a Cake song. Anyway, so I figured if you can always self-reference your position, right? If everyone was capable of articulating what they thought was like a steel man of their own position, right? Like relayering it, like putting some sort of epoxy layer down on everything that you thought, just so that you could now name the parts of the epoxy. You know, that's what listening to those conversations is about. You know. Oh, look, we're part of the Dark Horse Club, and we're going to come out and lay down some intellectualism on y'alls. And anyway, it's interesting because these guys are lauding each other, congratulating each other, and reinvigorating the notion of Jewishism or Ashkenazi Jews. relationship to monies. Like, well, do you think genetically we were like okay with the idea of how we would manage monies? And they're just kind of talking about their people as a culture and as a group, or like, oh yeah, and we get the priest, and the priest gets to have all the kids. You know, like the smartest Jew guy was getting a. It was just this weird sort of dialogue, and I thought, well, and then there was somebody that was pushing back on the Germans, and I thought, man, do I look like a German right now, just like a scruffy one, right? Because my hair's cut that way, and although the German comes from my dad's side, my dad's a brunette. You know, I was a young blonde. I was the only blonde in the family, so that seemed, you know, my dad would have been more like a Hitler Hitler brunette German as opposed to the blonde blue-eyed whatever, like the Rocky IV Ivan Dragov against Rocky. Yes, that one. And he's Russian. He's not even German in there. So, you know. But it's that weird sense of the Germanic. But it's just, it was discussion. It was just interesting discussions also concerning age and like, are taller people really more valuable to the gene pool than shorter people? And are they, you know, like they were talking about these presumptions that kind of come along with a history of different cultures, evolutions through time. And I think it was really weird. Then they brought up Douglas Murray also, so they're really kind of chopping down through how it is that they like I'm always in contention at this particular root of the tree of whatever people are going to deem as like self-equitable or tribal valuable centers, meaning they were comparing the the certain few tribes in Africa that were the ones that once Ethiopia was brought into, or maybe it was Sudan also, but was brought into the Olympics. That this certain group, or maybe it was Kenyan, it might have even been Kenyan, it's probably Kenyan, right? That they were taking all the long distance marathon trophies, and some of them run bare feet or whatnot. They didn't say that, but anyway, the whole point is it was an implication of groups and individuals' capabilities, means of getting through things. So by the mere fact that I talk to Piero and I talk to you, and that I actually have guy friends, and that you're metrosexual, I would imagine, in origin, meaning that you'd have sex with another guy on a train, on a subway, because you're a metrosexual like that. Where I'm metrosexual in that I'll ride a metro and I'll like it. Like I'll feel good about it. Thank you. That's the appropriate time for that laugh track. Finally. Jesus Christ, Asa. Okay. So, dude, I'm nervous.
You're nervous.
I'm nervous because there's one of two things that's gonna happen. Either I'm gonna put the Wonder Woman bracelets on a woman, or I am going to like probably end up, saying goodbye and causing a lot of resentment inadvertently by disclosing my arts, my multivarious art forms, which is the decent thing to do, but it's probably not the appropriate thing to do. So anyway, that's why I'm nervous. I'm and by the mere fact that I also like have you ever met anyone? I know you got someone in the background. It's part of your bus. But have you ever met anyone that they only treated you so super positively that you couldn't imagine that they could even think otherwise?
Hello?
Hello. Hey man, so have you ever who's the most gentle speaking person that you've ever met in your life?
Oh, probably a guy named that worked with my mom at Michael's, and I've met a few times, and just who's gone through some psychiatric. He went to Mexico to a mental asylum to get treatment over there, electric shock therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So he just had a very gentle presence, very soft voice, and he read a lot of things that I was like he was just well read too. And
yeah, see, I'm accused of being well read, and I really, even though I read, I don't consider myself well read. But anyway,
I don't know how well read he was, but I don't even really know him. I just met him a few times, and I've seen him. My mom's helped him out a few times. I hung out with him once, but just from those few interactions.
Right. Do you think there's any benefit for me pushing through the really base kind of vocabulary and genre? Like, is there any actual application for a person that just cuts through the grime bullshit, like moves through it out of the gate without any qualms? Kind of like the reason Joe Rogan likes Joey Diaz so much.
Can I answer this in form of a song?
Yes. As long as it's your song and you're singing it.
Hold on.
You can't play it.
Okay.
Well, you can start playing it.
Okay. I'll play a little bit.
Why don't you just play it on fast or slow so it doesn't trigger anything? Well, maybe it'll break the community guidelines, and it won't be my crassness. It'll be the copyright violation that causes it. I'll just occasionally say something over it. So go ahead and play it. I'll just spit some weird word.
I've started.
I don't know what. Why don't you sing a couple bars of it for me?
It's just a David Cassidy song.
Oh, well, that's so
David Cassidy
the one I was whistling over you was Tom Robin Hood, Disney's Robin Hood, I think. Little Tom and blah 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 goes up and down the farm. Anyway, don't worry about it. Okay, so you're singing a Bill Cassidy and the Sundance.
David Cassidy. It says, I'm a clown.
Is it called I Am a Clown?
Yeah.
How can I be a clown at this stage of my life? Like, why are you making me a clown at this stage of my life? You know who I sometimes admire Von Helton.
Who?
Von Helton.
Why do you
I'm
admire him?
I'm not answering that question. But sometimes I admire him. If you can figure out why I admire him, then you can spitball it, and maybe I'll affirm it or maybe I don't. But do you know who Von Helton is?
It doesn't ring a bell.
Well, he's a toothless redneck. I think he's like 60, like 62 or 3 now, and he was a very early, very rudimentary kind of conspiracy theorist, theory about money and economics. He kind of postured himself, and he might be a flat earther also, as far as I know. I mean, he just had this weird, like he was my introduction that there were still people out there that believed the shit that he believed. And then I thought he was just so far from the outback. Like he was just so, like a lot of these characters, that are online, you just don't know they're out there. And I'm like, I guess one of them also that people don't know. Anyway, Piero was all telling me, he was like, maybe your style or your edge or your art form just isn't conducive to that small of a city like Salt Lake. You need to be in a more urban city. So, but he was bouncing over like Portland and Seattle, talking about New York, talking about New Hampshire, and we were just talking about different cities in, I don't know, like New York and LA, that kind of stuff. And then I brought up Boston again. Anyway, so I was trying to work on my cover letter. I do need to work on my cover letter. Did you find Saturn yet, or what?
No, that was the question for you.
No, even if I went outside, if there were too many stars, I wouldn't be certain which one was Saturn.
I was just bullshitting you, really.
Oh, okay.
But it would be interesting if you could spot Saturn with the naked eye in Salt Lake.
My friend Dustin, he knew which one was Saturn, and for a while I did too. Meaning I could pretty much eyeball it based on some orientation to some constellation. But then somehow over the years, it was kind of like my chess prowess has gone down from what it once was, because I don't play the game, I don't meditate on it. I spend a lot of time trying to unlearn the game.
It's very peculiar that you're bringing up chess all of a sudden when I'm like getting all these recommendations, because I watch two AI systems compete against each other in a game of chess. Now I'm getting all these recommendations on YouTube, and now you're talking about chess.
Well, what I'm curious of is, what do you think a nation full of oddballs and weird ducks, and probably more weird ducks that don't get online than are online, and the weirdness of the ones that you see online? I mean, just think about this huge variety of souls out there. Like, it's so, like, everyone's so different. I wonder why YouTube keeps, when I just keep it on autoplay, why it keeps bringing me back to a channel that I've unsubbed from long ago, and why does it keep playing the same videos? Like, every couple days, the autoplay will just cycle back on the exact same long form Lex Friedman and this biologist or this historian guy's video. It was kind of like Jordan Peterson. It was like I'd wake up and there was just Jordan Peterson lectures, and I was like, why? Why is the algorithm, running me through Jordan Peterson now? You're all like,
sometimes, I don't know, YouTube, depending on the videos you like or you watch, not like, it will automatically subscribe to that channel without you being aware of it. So
but I unsubscribed purposefully to certain channels that it'll play, Basically, I unsubscribed to Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan podcasts show up a shitload.
Why did you unsubscribe to Joe Rogan?
Because I was just I was tired of his fat fucking mug and his middle-handed centrism, and the fact that he's half bonky. I'm sure he's fine. I mean, he's great. He's done better than I have in this life, And for I'm on his coattails age-wise, so. It's meaning I'm not going to have as many kids as he has or as much money as he has by the time I get to the age that he is now. But I was sending my dad this video of this guy that lives to be 109. And I thought, man, I wonder, because my dad's just trying to he's just trying to get in his 90s. He wants to get into his 90s to beat his sister in age, who was the oldest, the record winner. And my dad's the last of his family. Which is so weird that he had so many siblings. And then I have two. My niece has two half older siblings. You have one past sibling. And I used to try to interpret you through that fact, trying to like map my notion of what an average temperament or type of personality could possibly be at the age in which your brother died. Because you were 18, you said? He was 26. You were 16, he was 26. Something like that. Was he 26?
Yeah.
Do you know? Sorry, I shouldn't be talking about it, but so that's 10 years. Yeah, that would have been weird. Because 10 years is a huge gap, but yeah, my dad, his closest sibling was 11 years older than he was. Because he was the last. Well, let me sing a song about Trump, little ding dong. Go flipping through like a mustard honey muffin through the POTUS position. You come flumping out. I heard he officially gave the transition team the okay to Joe Biden. And so now I was wrong. Unless the lawsuits linger on too. Like if they cancel all the lawsuits, that's great. But I think there's going to be like a hanging chad. There'll be one hanging lawsuit against the legal election beyond the 3rd of December. Because my argument, I was posing some weird old conspiracy theory argument that every 20 years there had to be some federal legal crisis that lasted at least 31 days for contract law to somehow some international financial or something contract law was being brought into U.S. law.
Yeah.
Or a shuffle of money or something was going to. I mean, maybe this is a traditional shakedown. Okay, if you're on top, we're going to just reward you because now you're the nobles. And these will be your plebes. All the plebes will shop from you, Mr. Bezos. Thank you for, instead of the nobles controlling independent land, all the nobles get all of the land. there were so many people to give eggs to out there. And I was just giving out a bundle, man, like 4 and 3 and 2 and 2 and 2 and hey, can I get some for my what was old man? The lady refers to her old man. When I first heard that phrase, I thought that meant her dad, but then no, my old man. And then the guy said, "Oh, my old lady." Oh yeah, get it for the old lady. My dad doesn't say that. My mom doesn't say that either. But there was some affectation, accents of somewhere where they were saying that. Or maybe it was just in a movie. You know, the old lady, she's back there. Even my old friend in high school and college, we'd go to the grocery store and he'd buy something. They'd say, "Well, do you want a bag?" And he'd say, "No, she's in the car." So I'd steal that joke. I still steal that joke. Because a lot of women cashiers thought that it was clever and it was kind of funny, and they didn't know the idea that a woman was referred to as a bag. What do you think that means there, Wolf, Ace?
I don't know.
Well, what do you think it might mean?
Just where it originated from, you old bag.
Yeah, why is a woman referred to as a bag but a guy isn't?
Because maybe you could dispose things into a bag.
Like your seed?
Your seed, or it could be used derogatorily.
Like your boobs are bags? Like, look at those bags, you old bag.
Or you could throw trash in a bag. Garbage in a bag.
Well, what do you think about morons that breed with other morons? Do you think there should be any panic about that, or do you think it's already a crisis out of control, or do you think it's a bunch of bullshit and that there's people that morons ratio statistically to geniuses is as fast and as a current as geniuses are in any other population other than a genius population. Meaning, I think geniuses occur in all populations, and that the average person is closer to an idiot than they are to a genius. But if I'm wrong and there's a genius population, like they were saying, look, Jews are, 0.05 of the world's population, yet we make up 25% of the Nobel Prize winners. Right, and and I thought, well, is that just a nice club where you guys are giving it to each other? And then the Weinstein, he said, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to say about what Weinstein was saying, but what on this other show, this Lex Friedman show, he had Michael Malice on there, and they were congratulating each other for being Jews, and Michael Malice said something like, yeah, look, if you got rid of this group, you get rid of all the cool kids, right?
I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not really. It just.
No, it was tripe. It was self-congratulatory. God, I almost want to say well, it's kind of like this. Like, you're supplementing. My conversations with you are probably more interesting than my monologues alone. I mean, I think I've reached my plateau, if you will, right, in terms of monologues. Like, I don't got much unless I do. And I don't know, meaning I didn't get traction. So there's a lot of people that have traction. I mean, I should probably Google like how many Jewish people try to have a huge following on YouTube but fail. And I bet there's more that fail than that succeed. But perhaps with Jewish people, perhaps there's more that succeed than there are that try.
Maybe they just can't take criticism. They disable the comments.
Oh, right.
Jewish. Yeah.
No, I commented on some comments there. I made some fucked up noise on a couple channels, but it had nothing to do with that. Well, I did say, in the comments, I said, well, from a non-Jew to a Jew, Jesus Christ, WTF was that? But it was a longer, like a big paragraph.
It was a big paragraph.
It was a big paragraph.
Oh, man.
You'll have to read it.
You have the most. When it's almost like you're beckoning me. Your pauses. It's like you pause, you say something, you pause, and then it just tempts me to press the laugh track button.
Well, yeah, that's funny. It's so perfectly self-humiliating. It's wonderful because I was looking. I was like, God, what? Like when? Okay, so to me, the kind of like maybe it's the Elvins, or maybe it's the Pixie, the guys that look like pixies.
Or well, remember our conversation we had the other day when you're eating your bowl of spaghetti, and then I was feeling like I'm getting like a secondhand humiliation. You're just sitting in your chair alone in your apartment eating a bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And you started laughing and laughing. You wanted me to go into detail about this secondhand humiliation.
Right. Secondhand humiliation. Right. See, and even that echoed into the moment right now. Like I inhaled a vape, and I blew it through the harmonica really slowly. And it felt like I was humiliating the air, and that it was secondhand, like secondhand smoke, humiliating the air, and that kind of mirrored your secondhand humiliation. It was just a weird, like that was my immediate metaphor, my immediate mirror to the topic.
How many people have you ever encountered in your life that actually encourages you? It's like you actually encourage it. You encourage me. I say something, and you want me to go further.
Yeah.
And it's a rare thing. It's a rare phenomenon. It's a thing that I say, I don't want to be mean, and you say, well, I want you to be mean to me.
Well, you can be mean to me. I was just like, I mean, if you really want to hammer it home, go for it. Just lay in. It's fine by me. And I probably won't even, get extra angry or even, I don't. Well, I don't know. I don't think I'm vengeful or revengeful.
Well, you're the only person who's made me weep.
Oh, that's not true. What? Because I can humiliate you into crying and feeling self-pity or self-resent or the tortures of the depth of...
That's
where your laugh track comes in.
And then you link me the Star Trek video, and that's from. Right. It's not even the TV. It's the TV series. No, it's not even from the TV series. It's from the.
That wasn't it was Enterprise, but it was Next Generation. It was Data and Captain Picard, and Data had just gotten his new emotion chip. And he was they were gonna have to go to this other system, and And Data was a little freaked out because his emotion chips were kicking in, and he was just fucking afraid. And he was afraid, and he was stressed, and his anxiety. He's like, "No, sir, I will not do it until I get this chip taken out of me." And Picard's like, "Come, Commander, you will too get that chip. Or no, you will too. You will do your job as an officer on this starship, and you will put your emotions under control now, kind of thing. You will put yourself in order, and but that wasn't the clincher of the line. What was the line at the end that got you on that? Like it was.
Sometimes it takes courage to feel these emotions.
Sometimes it takes courage to feel these emotions. And you were so emotional at the time that it made sense when I saw that mirror occurrence, which was more like the multiplicity of mirrors that can be found, the refractions as if one is in a crystalline universe. And religiously, people they're dogmatic to the type form of crystalline object, and then if its orientation is more upward than downward, I guess in acute pointness or wherever it's currently spun to, and that's where Orville was saying, I think I tested his epistemology, and that's why he became this monist and this directionalist, or maybe he already was up in that way, but anyway, so the whole idea of if your arrows are pointing up or your orientation is up, then you're maybe more theistic. And if your arrows are down, then maybe you're a little bit more Jack and the Beanstalk after a nuclear holocaust, or the Nightmare Before Christmas characters of Jack and Diane, two American kids just living in a swampland. Little creepy land, little creepy people, little clay, little creatures. But anyway, and so the idea that I do like certain jocular approaches to some Jewish, like I think Jack Angstrick is he epitomizes more in accent. A Jewish jocularity with kind of like tell somebody the wrong answer to see whether or not they know the right answer, and then play off of that. Like it seemed almost as if that was like a common notion, right? And like I was really confident in college, and this guy I don't even think he was Jewish, but he was from New York. And here I am in Utah, and northern Utah State, and I got a lot. I was feeling like king of the world. Everything was good, and this guy was interesting, and he never jabbed at me. Meaning he did these really slight jabs, very very like subtle jabs. you know, like trying to make fun of like the way your shoelaces were, or just little incidental things. But I'm just walking across this field, and he's out like playing pass football or frisbee something with some guys. And I was like, "Hey, fail!" And I turn over and look, "Fuck you, fail!" And it wasn't even mean. It was like with this happy, like it was just joyful. But it was just so. I just like started cracking up, but like also like fucking weird. Like it was just so goddamn funny. And I don't know, I was walking, I think I had my leather jacket on that day. It's some outdoor day. Probably a spring day, I would imagine, not a fall day. But I'm not certain. Yeah.
What do you remember this? This?
Are you gonna make a fart sound?
No.
Anyway, so my Whistler painting's hanging up. Are you playing something?
Yeah.
Oh.
It, as far as I give a shit, the guy's just a, it's very hard to describe. He's a nice enough guy, but all his arguments are just all crap. It's all this psychobabble bullshit. He doesn't deal with the argument. He keeps talking about philosophy as if it is something held by a psychology and nothing else. It's just such a pile of shit. It's very offensive. Because I can play the same game with his psychology. He does have an awful lot of John Wayne Casey kind of personality defects. Those sadistic clowns. That's kind of a Caseyism. He talks about how he's his brave battles with his little broken limbs. It's the only fucking pain you ever know. And so you get some kind of psychotic Evel Knievel basically describes going to the hospital. He liked going to the hospital. He liked Brady Bones. He made him a hero. He got a lot of worship for it. In one of his crashes, he knew he was going to crash. And he just didn't give a shit. He went up the landing area.
That's not quite true.
He didn't want to spend the money to have the wall taken out. They're talking about this crash into it. Because, he just didn't give a fuck.
You gotta send me a link to this.
It doesn't matter. And I'm not gonna get on YouTube and go through every detail of my life and explain exactly what was. Oh, that was really bad. This is really bad. This is absolutely horrible. But your whole premise that somehow I don't know what pain is. Look, I can unravel it fairly simply. I didn't have access to a doctor or a dentist for 25 years. That means no prescription drugs, nothing. 25 years. And I lived on this planet.
Okay, sorry, man. Sorry. I apologize that you lived on the planet for 25 years without a dental plan that you've suffered, and there's no fucking way, you're going to tell me that pain isn't bad. That's the fucking definition of pain, is that it's bad. You can't tell me pain isn't bad. I'm like, well, pain isn't always bad. And there's some cases where pain isn't necessarily, well, we'll just make it more painful. We'll change the pain, he says. I'm just saying, like, hey. There's another way in which one has their arrays or their thoughts or their relationships with their own pains, such that it's not always that the highlight of one's existence exceeds and goes beyond, is in front of its own pain.
Well, let's see what Gary has to say.
Well,
went through some things. Without any pain medication, without anything. So fuck you. Really, just fuck you.
Right, for the same reason, though, that Gary, when an antinatalist is challenged, and they say, hey, why don't antinatalists just kill themselves? If they hate life so much, why don't they kill themselves? And their answer is, well, hey, we're already on the planet, and we're a nervous system, so of course we don't want to kill ourselves, we just want you guys to stop breeding. Because we're not going to breed. We want you guys to stop doing it. So they're advocating for the end of it. And so the way that he punctuatedly said, you know what, I experienced fucking pain because I didn't have this, and fuck you, right? Like, it was just very affronting to my like, I wasn't suggesting that anyone else should be experiencing pain. And so his affront was the same reaction, the same affront that they won't give you, that an antinatalist won't give you when you use the same affronted logic of, hey, why don't you kill yourself? Like you're just a blight, right? And the problem with that is that it's hypocritical. Gary's being hypocritical there. Right? Because in this case, it's like, hey, you're not going to fucking tell me 25 years without fucking painkillers, wasn't anything that I didn't learn from, to know. Yeah. Anyway, keep going. Yeah. This is a hoot, actually. I really appreciate you breaking this in.
Yeah, video. So anyway, yeah, The Spook has made another video debating the word imposition. They're trying to find some way to convolute the meaning of the word, so that now having a child is something that just happens to the parents. It's not something that happens to the child.
I don't know if that's a proper description of my argument, but anyway, go ahead, keep playing it. It's a hoot.
Preposterous. Anyway, couldn't find my bathroom. Yeah, it's all wet. Yeah, rained again. You know, it's okay. Summer kind of rain. Hit and run. They did knock the power out. You know, right in the middle. I'm having trouble with my hard drive. Power failures. Kind of thing you want in the middle of that mess. And,
What, is Gary going to dive into heaven? Into that mythical place that doesn't exist by his denial more than I am?
Time with these word games. That's all they are. Let's pretend we don't know what the word imposition means. I mean, it's just silly. But let's go over it real quick.
No.
Here's this thing we do, which is called doing. We do things. Yeah. And some of the things we do have implications on others. And when those implications are potentially negative, carry a risk to them, or some sort of, potential bad, or burdenous, and we're knowledgeable of that risk, usually. Intent has something to do with it. We qualify that doing as an imposing. Okay, we kind of just use that word for the doing. To make a distinction between the times when you're being generous, like you're giving somebody a gift, and when you're being a fucking cunt, a taker, an asshole. So we have words that describe these different kinds of doing. Where we do something that's reckless, we have a word for reckless, you see, so we can describe the event and give it some sort of meaning. It's not just everything's not the same kind of do. Yeah, some of the do is dutier than the other do. So anyway, so that's why the word imposition exists. It exists to describe a category of doing that has these elements.
And why do you feed your cat meat, Gary? And isn't the imposition argument dead, Gary?
The more likely that
do you have to keep playing that? Okay, go ahead.
Will earn the word imposing. The more the intent and the more negative the potential consequences. So intention and negativity are the two components.
I heard of limbic tensions. That I work with people's limbic system in terms of being able to make it change its frequency, change the human limbic system's frequency by plucking what I think are like certain derived heartstrings of humans. And so I do pluck a lot of heartstrings, like, hey, let me play harp, even though I know a harmonica, but I can't play a harp worth well, I don't know, maybe I can play a harp okay too. But I don't think I'm any Mozart. I'm not like constructing or composing. And if it wasn't 1 a.m, I'd be on the drum set. Shit, maybe I should just do it anyway. I'll just get over there and just beat the fucking shit out of the drums at 1:15. Oh, man. Dude, I don't
participate.
I have.
This. And there was, the people that are participating in these matches know they're going to be enduring some physical handling and they're going to be enduring some pain. And the same thing with people that that as opposed to getting tattoos, decide to get brandings. I mean, tattoos.
Well, I can see how people can interpret that as a type kind of physical aggression on my part. No wonder you were like, oh, God, he's going to try to make this shit. Ah, he's going to kill me.
I'm trying to find this one.
You didn't have to interpret it that way. That wasn't all the means of interpretation of that particular tone. Meaning, the idea of feeling handled from a God's point of view upon individuals like a pain. Like that.
Okay, what about this? This one.
Fucking Gary, what a piece of work he is. Okay, yeah, he got pissed off at my 4 videos there, and I was like, for these 4, I'm gonna come at you. I'm gonna make out a logical argument the best that I can based on what I know. And so anyway, thought I was painting clowns. I got this steampunky chicky lady all done there. And look at that, even though I wear a brace and I've broken fingers in the spine, and look at my fat neck. See better? I guess if I went like that, I guess it looks fat. Right, and I scarred myself up. But hey, let's just listen to these 2 videos real quick. Like okay,
man.
Not just his response to me, but first, why don't we listen to his argument with Karen real quick? Let's check this up. Okay, here he goes.
Gary, will talk not just about the points you're trying to make, but whether or not he thinks you're physically attractive.
No, I'm sorry. That's just nonsense. So you can't, no sale. Right? That's just fucking bullshit. Find it, quote it. Quit playing this game. I'm guilty by association. I'm guilty because I don't like what you say philosophically. I argue against it.
They both like their Hogwarts. They both like their matching Hogwarts.
For instance, he makes fun of what people look like, including her. And he's like, quote it. Okay, so immediately I go to the video beforehand. His response to me at 3:47. Here we go.
You're fat. You keep saying you're not, but you are. You've got a big fat neck. Your fatness is showing all over the place. I know that gets to you for some reason. So I'll say it again. You're a fat ass. A dumpy fat ass. A useless dumpy fat ass. Whatever, take your little academic, psychobabbly bullshit some fucking place else you've done, Weasley cunt. You're just a game playing fucking waste of space.
Okay, so just to make certain that that's on the record, he's such a fucking piece of work. What a lying, conniving piece of work. And he calls me a weasel, right? You go to the end and he accuses me of not having integrity, right? Which I just think is just a kick in the pants.
It's called integrity, which you lack. So shove that up your phantasmagorical ass.
And I mentioned Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in my video, so he re-mentions it in his video like he came up with it. He still hasn't pulled it, I'm not saying I invented the word, I'm just saying that he's picked it up off of me after this particular date. He hasn't gone back to find a use prior to the date that I put in my last video. I think part 3. So just the facts anyway. So Gary's just kind of moving all over the place. He won't take my quad videos and go for them point by point and go over them because he'll call that psychologicalizing. Where I am suggesting that it's obviously not the case. Right?
Man, then I'm making an argument. I'm making a fucking argument. But he won't address it. He's just going to lose me out of hand. Slide me away like you crazy fuck. Just like when we were talking about Gary being religious, because you asked me about Anton, and I said I thought that Anton's. Well, no, you didn't ask me this. Piro asked me this. What I thought of Anton, and we were talking about Gary and Anton a little bit. And I was saying that that I thought that maybe Anton had a closed theology because he only believed that God was here during your presence on the planet, but when you died, there was no afterlife. And I said, it sounds to me like his theology was a type kind of abandonment issue. And then I said, when Anton and Gary were going at it, I said Gary was so. This whole conversation with Piro was stemming out of the idea of what kind of tangent or form fit does Gary have to religion, in as much as that he was so adamant to deny it, right? To get it off of him, right? In terms of all of its orthodoxy or its mutable or its weird contradictions or what he'd call creepy or fucked up or whatever else that he gets to scapegoat on me, like spit biblical whatever at me or psychobabble whatever at me. At the same time, he, even this discussion will be an awkward one to have in the future, by the way, because it's so wobbly. But it is. I wanted to drive to a point, but I'm kind of losing the point. Okay, what to say about this? If I don't even just let it mentally fall apart, it was as if Piro and I were talking about Anton's criticism of Gary as being religious, and Gary was very adamant in the argument as to say, I'm not fucking religious, how dare you, I'm an atheist, no fucking God, da da da, and he went on some tirade, which I can't just pull up like you've been pulling up my videos, which was so weird for me because you're on a phone doing this, and I used to think you were on a laptop when you were just, hey, how about this video, and how about this one, and how about this segment, and not that you've done this before. Like, this is kind of entertaining that you do this. But anyway, and so, so Piro and I are talking about what of Gary was it that made him death-like, and then I also brought up Sufis learning to approach death. And how it seems as if, talking about an inner, the greater jihad and the lesser jihad, and the inner and the exterior, and the idea of emptying oneself so much that a new self gets to pour in, and then how that itself can become cyclical, meaning how many times does one have to die unto themselves? And perhaps that question is a Sufi-like type of question, or Sufi squared, Sufi cubed. Instead of just like the Christian, I've been born again and hence I'm saved. It's like, I've been born 9 times like a cat, and I don't know if I'm saved. Meow, meow. So theologies can vary, and so Gary could have a Sufi let humanity learn to die, and that as you get the technocrats and the people that are still idealistic and racing humanity forward as like a school of fish or school of birds, there's a huge flock shift, or bend in the stream, and or bottleneck, as Sam Harris puts it, maybe even a genetic bottleneck. And so the idea that a rushed vaccine coming out, because I was pushing back on points of argumentation, that the vaccine is so rushed that the virus itself, if it was patented and prior, meaning patented prior to its release, then it's a synthetic thing, and the inoculations coming out as quickly as they did of the major firms is not only considered bad science, just based on, I don't believe they did tests on this, whatever's coming out that are sufficient. Meaning because they don't have enough data on what the long-term effects are. And so then this compiles all these they're going to introduce nanobots where it is really just merely a vaccine and it's the same for one group as it is for another, although they have 3 different companies producing the vaccines, maybe. So if there's 3 different companies, then maybe there's 3 different differences, and maybe depending on where you are or what you're given or what you're expected to take, you'll have some sort of result. Maybe you'll have some sort of nanobot tracking device, RFID chip in your blood. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be dumbed down. Maybe you'll be given robotic parts, or you'll just have iron in your system. Like a woman's vitamin that somehow latent satellites can pick up. Anyway, no. Anyway, so the whole idea was penetrating an idea, right? Same thing with Gary. I don't think it's psychopathic. I'm not the Joker on the movie The Joker. I'm not writing that plot for myself.
Well, I think this is right at the part where Gary explodes on Anton.
Oh. I'm still confused. I guess I'm trying to understand. Gary, when you say that life is crap, are you saying that it's inherently crap, or are you saying because it isn't something significant, comparatively it sucks?
Yeah, it craps. Okay, it makes a mess. Okay, the sentient being creates the opportunity for the negative. There's no negative in the universe without the existence of the sentient being. Right. It is, in its essence, the garbage. It's the sewage. Right. As soon as you open that door, you create the opportunity for loss.
Negativity
makes reality possible. You can't lose if you don't have a sentient being to harm. There's no harm in the universe without us.
I understand you. I think what happens sometimes is that people are the same old wretched people they've always been. People have grown in their awareness of the wretchedness, and now it's not as if people are getting worse. No, we're raising the moral standards on what we think we ought to do. It's, for lack of a better word, it's a backdoor, invisible monkey religiosity, and it's not toward you. It's part of the philosophical system that you're espousing.
Well, I don't see it. George Bush got elected the second time, so I'm sorry, I don't see this elevated human being. I see us now having wars where we're overtly just stealing people's money and calling it, we're freedom fighters. Oh, no, you just bought mercenaries to kill other people.
He laid it against Gary, not against Gary, against humanity or politics.
With the abuse. We've accepted slavery now because we moved it to China. Yeah. So now slavery's okay. So I don't see this elevated human being too much. I see a lot of selfish, more worried about their Gucci.
At least Gary's tracking him.
All of the things you complain about, this commercialism, this obsession with material goods, this whole definition of who I am based on how good gel in my hair is. This incredibly superficial human being.
Well, I agree. I think part of
yeah, why doesn't he shave one of his eyebrows? Why doesn't he shave half his head and walk on all fours and piss on his shit in public?
When he was physically humiliating you, there was a clip of him and swimming.
Swimming, I know. It's like swimming in that Speedo, that thin young lion boy, like a cat.
And I think right when you made the comment of, you're just a fat fuck who just paints his crotch was right up.
I know, it was so self-congratulatory on his part. It's like, okay, Gary, I admit, I'm out of shape, I'm a fat fuck, I broke and here I am, and you're swimming, and you're running and frolicking in your New Jersey love palace, your little love shack without the love, except for a cat, which is kind of like how I'm living now. It's like, fuck you, Gary, you're contagious. You're smart now because I am always smart, and I live with a cat because you used to live with a cat. Thank you.
this issue. I mean, I would like us to find ways to have this meaningful. I mean, again, I think this has been meaningful, but I think for me, some ways it has to do with language and the way that we come at language and the problems of those forms of language which don't well align with scientific forms. I mean, I think this is partly why Fred talks a lot about metaphor, because he wants to remind
Fred is
people
conference report.
there are ways of using language which, even though the way of talking can't be reducible
Like a
to
dog
science,
whistle.
it's not therefore a nonsensical way of talking or a nonsensical question. Like the classic example would be, why did the universe come into existence? Now, scientifically, I don't think we're ever going to have an answer. I just don't. There's never going to be one. But for many people, religious people, the not ever having an answer and feeling the sense that we'll never have an answer, that's an opening to spiritual mystery, and that itself is
Well, exactly, but it shouldn't be. My argument is that question should be as uninteresting to you as asking the question, why do I fart? Okay, wait. It's a mechanical process, period. There's nothing mystical. It's a mechanical process. It had no intention. There's no fairies running the universe. There's no gods. There's no magic toes. It's a mechanical process.
Nothing sublime, Gary. There's nothing out of you or sublime.
It parted a pretty color.
Nothing nascent or latent.
This language hoodwinking where you're throwing these things that I'm not saying. So I would just from that issue into the difference between a what question and a who question. I think science is really good at answering the question, what am I? If I say, what am I? Science is so good at telling me all the gory details. But if I say, who am I? Science can't tell me, because it introduces cultural layers, socio-historical layers, linguistic layers, and all the ambiguities of my being. And so who questions lead people into this larger question of, can I identify with the larger conditions that make possible DNA? Can I realize that DNA itself had prerequisite or preconditions for it to be necessary, and that's part of my being. Because when you say I'm reducible to the DNA, I think that's a genuine who there, or that's not a true who.
Well, I know you can say that, but I can sit there and back it up with some science and the rest of it. So I'm just going to argue that I can answer who you are questions, and I can explain to you all the programming
Anton was defending me
in the whole history of the human animal first, then the human culture, the culture you've been derived from, okay, the education you've acquired, and I can say these are the programs running inside your head. You have this want, desire, you have an ego, you have these different mechanisms of psychology running around inside of your head, and that's your who, okay? Maybe it'll take me 12 hours to dissect every bit of your psychology, but in a Freudian way, I can dissect you, and I can find out why this is important to you, and why that's important to you, and why you like the color of yellow, and why you like your food,
that's the game, that theory I played, Gary.
On the right side of the plate, or whatever your little mannerisms are. Your who can be dissected.
When you talk about when we try to talk about other people, we can get at them as a one. Pretend that we're talking about them as a who, but the who question is different than a whom. I mean, who do you think you are? Like, I don't mean like you, but I mean, when a person says, who am I? They're asking this question of, who am I? If I say, who am I? Some person says, well, I could say, for example, I could say I'm Tory, or I could say I'm an American, or I could say I'm
a douchebag.
I'm a professor.
Manifestation of a DNA molecule that has gone through competitive evolution and acquired an eccentric psychology that allows it to delude itself into the idea that it's accomplishing something.
I am the ultimate. I am inseparable from that which made DNA possible. You have arbitrarily planned with DNA, not realizing.
What, dude? What did Asa? What did you think?
What you're saying?
What did you think of my video against Steve McRae? Did you watch the video I did called Steve McRae's putting Steve McRae's one-horse pony to bed or something like that?
I may I saw some clips of it.
Clips. The whole thing is a 50-minute argument broken into two. So there's two 50-minute arguments that reiterate the same thing.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Son of a bitch, how dare you jack off over Inmendham and Anton when Steve McRae is more contemporary? Why are we going down memory lane? I'll tell you why. Because you are helping to paint me as a clown.
Am I? I just want to hear him yell at Anton when he tells him
I know. I wish you had that clip instead of having to listen to the whole fucking video.
I'm saying it doesn't matter. It has one mechanism. The mechanism is reproduction, okay, and mutation. So it's just competing with itself for 4 billion years. We're the product of self-competition over 4 billion years. Winners win, losers lose. And it's a cutthroat, simple, harsh, brutal. My argument is, as I've stated it, okay, is sentience is the game. So yeah, you want to live as a non-sentient, then it's a good time to live because nothing's getting hurt, okay? But as soon as something's going ouch, this game gets really important because now we have a value, okay, and the value can be degraded. We can leave more milk on the floor. So we spill more milk than we clean up. That's dangerous.
So if people would have just been dreamlessly asleep and never woke up, it would have been the best deal. To be a tree.
Well, I'm afraid because that's the nature of the game. I mean, I didn't make it a stupid tic-tac-toe game. I didn't make it a feudal game. It's the way nature is. Nature is a feudal game. As I've stated, you don't like the analogies, but I have to use analogies.
But would you grant that there are certain... Okay, you said that there's a lot of feeling, that there's certain feelings that people have, and there's a feeling of agony over other suffering. I'm not sure what the feeling we're going to call the suffering. I mean, I'm not going to say that you suffer another suffering, but you have some sort of feeling that's unpleasant.
Everyone, you got to watch Inmendham the musical.
That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I'm not talking about my personal discomfort with something else's suffering. I'm talking about the fact that it has value. That the suffering itself, of itself, independent of any observer, independent of anybody crying, is a bad thing. A thing in pain is intrinsically bad. That is the red number in the universe.
Right.
And to make a positive, you have to rub that out. You have to eliminate.
Did he say, is that the red number in the universe?
Yeah, once. I mean, you use words, or suddenly I call.
I don't know. I'm curious if Gary said, is that that's the red number in the universe? It needs to be wiped out.
Yeah. It's
so,
coming up.
He's anti-red. Okay, here we go.
It's coming.
It's gotta be. It's not behind us.
Suffering, which is separable from feeling, which is separable from pleasure, which is separable from love.
Now you're talking Martian, okay? Right there, you're just talking about words. That's Martian to me. You might as well be talking Martian to me. Because I can't even imagine the world where I can't make a huge distinction between pain and pleasure. They're not even on the same sides of the planet. They're on different planets. Oh, I'm sorry, but there are exactly.
That's how I disagree with them.
This distance between two things.
Well,
it's both on the same side and different sides.
Between pleasure and pain. Pleasure and pain.
There's a difference between something and nothing. Okay, that's the difference.
Of some sense, but maybe
no. There's no continuum between something and nothing. Okay, those are the two endpoints. Okay, so suffering is the something. All right, and everything else is the nothing.
Gary has no sense of latency, of the sublime, of the expanded, or how one part of a muscle could hurt more than another part of a muscle. Anyway, go ahead.
I wish I knew how to come at this more.
Well, it's a math equation, right? Let's just say what we're disagreeing on. We have the equation E equals MC squared. What we can't agree on is what E is, what an M is, what a C is. Okay, we're not agreeing on the variables. All right? You're saying love, friendship,
feeling like you're accomplishing something are the things that are valuable in life. These are the magical little moments.
Including animal gratifications.
These are the things of real value to me, and for me, okay, it's exactly the opposite. The things of real value are the deprivations, okay, the sadnesses, the harms, the serious hard pain. That's the real core value. That's the elephant, and the trunk is this little moments of glory where we actually accomplish something of actual true beauty.
Focused on those other things in order for other people to believe that I recognize them or acknowledge them. I have to sort of.
You don't have to be focused on them. No. Again, that's a philosophy. I don't want people to focus on feeling them. I want people to focus on recognizing that that's the value that the E equals MC squared is made out of. That this is the variable that is the mechanics of our life. The thing that has value in this universe is feelings. Good feelings, bad feelings. So if we can acknowledge that it's the feelings that are the important thing. And the food is the important thing, right? The satisfaction of the meal. Whether the meal is made out of maggots or the meal is made out of filet mignon is irrelevant. What matters is how is the consumer feeling. Does it make them feel good or does it make them feel bad? I don't care what they're eating. I care what they're feeling.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, that to me, again, I would say there's a materialist argument to be made that there are many people who will never feel some of life's greatest joys because they haven't figured out.
Oh, Gary, you made me feel great with that.
I think there are, whether you want to say, and again,
I mean, you're against analogies, and you just called suffering a hymn.
No, it's not even
a cogent analogy.
Made into a hymn through the way that they have, what do I call it?
Anton sounds like he's talking to a child who just stubbed his toe.
He does kind of sound like that.
To endure it as gracefully as it can be endured. I think there's that. I think this is tons of people create art out of their suffering. Tons of people, they realize that the price that they have paid to have the
art out of their discipline and not their suffering. Discipline and
hanging out with the dog is enough for.
And most people enjoy buying lottery tickets. Most people enjoy buying lottery tickets.
And
it's futile, it's stupid, it's irrational behavior, yet they enjoy it. That is a fundamental problem of human psychology. We enjoy and like doing things that are disgustingly stupid. We like to celebrate the World Series champions, right? The World Series champions have been built out of a pyramid of failure, of losers. So you make 1,000 losers for your one glory moment. It's a pyramid of stupidity. Okay, it is not something to celebrate. It is something to mourn. This is moronic. Okay, there's more blood on the floor than there is birthday cake in the oven. Whatever the metaphor is, this cake has cost too much to make.
Dude, I should text this. I paused it on the recording, but I should text this lady back before it gets too late. I mean, it's going on 2. It's almost 2 a.m. and I still haven't sent it. And you still haven't found the part. I mean, if you found the part, I could do it. I just didn't want to fucking have their whole fucking. Why is it their video isn't my video? I'm the captain of this ship.
It is part of your. I mean, Gary's he is how should I say? He's just
interwoven. He's part of the he's the head contender. He's the whatever your lizard guy in your movie script.
Creating great work.
I think it's coming. Let me see.
Okay, just go. Just keep going. Jesus, we can't steal their whole fucking video, man. Even if we're talking on it, can't take the whole thing.
I can't find it. But it was.
I mean, maybe it's there. I mean, it's an interesting critique. See, even that, you might as well talk on it. Why? What did you learn from that? What did you learn about me, or from Anton, or from this episode?
Are you recording?
Yeah, still going.
Oh, I don't know if I can say much about anything. I just wanted
fucking
to
say it. You're the most objective of all three of us to one another. Meaning my relationship to Anton, Anton to Gary, Gary to me, vice versa. You're the most objective party to all of this, so why don't you apex up your apex corner and say what you want to say? Quit, like, why is your opinion about us such a hidden thing? Just,
it's not hidden.
Well, then just speak it.
Well, I have nothing poignant to say off the top of my head.
No,
I'm just kind of blank.
No. Just describe what you think about each character that's going on in the clip, even if it's just
like
those two.
Like I said, Anton seemed like he was kind of over-accommodating, and like I said, he had his like comforting voice, like he was tending to a wounded child who stubbed his toe. And Gary sounds like his batty hair. Look at his hair. And there's too much blood to be baking a cake. I like his analogies. But I am not seeing this objectively. I'm seeing it subjectively. I'm seeing it as characterizations, more as a form of entertainment than any logical consistency.
You know, I
truth proposition.
Okay. Keep going.
And so, yeah, I had the opportunity to play these clips.
You totally did. You totally made it. It was really good. I think I need to wear a clown nose around indefinitely as a legal defense.
As a legal defense.
As a defense, as a clown defense, I guess. Even if it's just around my neck, a clown nose, just have one around my neck. Because, you might keep framing me as the clown. But so based on even...
Sorry.
Right. Well, you can frame me in several ways, I suppose. I feel like maybe I'm like the world's biggest trader, and I just don't know it. Maybe that's why I keep getting all these like forex trading and trading sites, and everything's about trading and markets and exchanges, and I hate the idea of people's valuation, kind of like not valuation, but relationship being kind of scaffolded away, but by scaffolding I mean more like the extension ladders or machinery that kind of like a dolly that you can stand in that is for mural painting on a high wall. I think you would call that like an electric dolly, but maybe not. Maybe it's got another name, but it's whatever raises the individual up and down. That's not like a window cleaner that's only going down, right? And so it's just kind of interesting, or sideways, I guess you could say sideways.
Well, how did you? I'm sure you haven't heard these clips in years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm really liking it, actually. I mean, I shouldn't be admonishing you for stopping. It's my hypocritical side that I thought, I should at least like lay down the foot and affirm my landlordship over my podcast with you. But actually, I don't really feel like that. Well, I don't know. That's so weird that I would paint that as like a leveled notion there. Like, oh yeah, let me just hen nest on you. And I was talking, I was like, man, women are like hens, and if they don't have kids, they're like trying to pick up adult men as their lost kids. to move around like eggs in the nest that they don't know what happened to them. And I think my mom's gone totally dormant. She's got my mom's technique. My mom's technique for a hearty elderly life is plenty of horizontal rest time. Plenty of that. As much as she needs and wants. Only to move when need be. But sometimes need be is more than just, going to the bathroom or this or that. Any basic need. But it's a conservation of energy approach. And I think that Gary is not conserving any energy, and that Anton, like you said, is kind of softballing, but like not just like he's taking care of a kid or he's trying to be super nice to a kid, but almost like Gary is making huge points, I think, as far as points are to be made.
Anton?
And so, go ahead and play it again, Susan. I mean, I guess the climax is the what we talked about earlier about the theology thing. I wish you could speed it up. I wish you could play it at 1.5 or 1.25, fast. That might help, at least until we got to it. Not because, I mean, look, I need. Well, I don't have to cut.
I'm just saying it would be a very productive life if you could write on your gravestone, "I cured cancer." It'd be a great thing to write on your gravestone. Okay, you kick ass, buddy. Okay, but the point, I don't know. How is that a no? How can you possibly say that's a no?
See, because this is again the difficulty that I'm having with your philosophy. I think that you keep saying that everything is crafts because you keep having
Gary, Anton's so absent.
A guy who just worked at a sandwich shop who does a good job at the job, somehow it's not sufficient. Somehow that's not worthy of putting on a gravestone. The gravestone isn't like I was a dignified person in the way I interacted with people. It wasn't I gracefully accepted life injustice.
I gracefully accepted illogic, inefficiency, huge friction, bloody horror.
And so logic is
50 million people killed brutally in war. Who the hell cares? It's all okay. I've made this analogy before, but yeah, there is no horror I could project onto the world that would ever put you past the point of saying this is too fucking gross. I could never gross you out. I could kill 100 million. I could kill 100 billion people, and you would just say, "Fine, bring on the next tidal wave."
You act like each of us are responsible for all of it, Gary.
Well, it doesn't run without us. We are we're the same DNA molecule that reproduced 4 billion years ago. We're its descendant, okay? It's on this planet for 4 billion years.
God.
We're just the next generation of an insidious infestation.
It's the great differences have been in culture between how people lived and how people have died, and that isn't reducible to the DNA and the chemistry. It's played a major role.
It's reducible to the suffering equation, though. Again, we're just going to keep arguing past each other until there's some acknowledgement that
you know what life was like before.
Your values are different than mine.
You know what life was like before morphine? You ever read about public torture and the spectacle of torture?
I don't even. Yeah, of course. Well, don't you think that that's part of what I'm saying here? That the natural animal is living in hell also. This stupid whole idea of born to die is insane. What intelligence would do that? Yes, I'll make you, and then I'll have you degrade, suffer, and die. Well, that doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. So just when you figure out how to live, I'll kill you and force you to start over.
I mean,
He's so upset at the nature of life.
From my perspective, this is why the psychological insights from spiritual and religious texts are so useful, because when you read them from the dogma, there are great insights about detaching from ego. I mean, I think sometimes when I hear you talk, I hear, it's a kind of ego attachment. There's a unwillingness to accept that that's the deal.
I'm rubber, you're glue.
Hold on one second.
I'm rubber, you're glue. I'm rubber, you're glue. I'm rubber, you're glue.
This is geeky. I gotta let her outside.
Yeah, I saw her in the image.
No, Gary, no. I'm not trying to do name calling. It's not like that.
I know, but
That's
I'm
my
not doing
job.
it sincerely. I'm just
You
saying,
fucking
yes, I
monkey,
see
you
exactly
idiot.
the same way.
Monkey.
You're completely ego-obsessed with this human organism like he's some sort of magnificent beastie. And all he is a consuming machine.
lousy, stinking, scheming, selfish.
So I think it's ambiguous. I think it's ambiguous.
I don't. I think it's transparently obvious what we are. We suck.
No,
We will enslave each other. We will.
Wait, pause it right there. Why don't you say why you're laughing at that? Why do you laugh at the fact that he says we suck?
Well, first I was looking at Anton's goofy, exaggerated expressions.
Oh, see, I'm not privy to that on this particular recording.
He was just like his Gary.
Doesn't he remind you of Bert? It's like Bert and like one of the old guys on the Muppet Show.
And then I'm like looking at his pulled back ponytail and looking how he parted it in the middle. And
it's like two horses battling. They're nipping at each other with those long manes. We better grow our hair long like horses. Pull it back.
It's actually really close. Any minute now.
Eat each other's heart.
I mean, I'm not sure who the we is there. I think they're
the human race. Obviously, I'm not including me because I kick ass, okay? I'm great because, I've done that get above your ego shit. I've done yes, it's about the suffering thing, and I've done the justice thing and the fairness thing. So, I kick ass. All these other humans suck balls.
I mean, do you think maybe other people also feel somewhat similarly to that? Like they think just everyone else is an idiot, and why can't everyone just get in line with the way that they do?
Of course, and that's why I argue, and that's why we go through this whole process. What I'm saying to you is look, we both don't hate each other, right? Let's admit it, okay? I have respect. I have respect for your capacity to make an argument, your knowledge base, your passion. I'm just saying all that stuff. But the point is that we have this fundamental tension.
I think we
that exists because it is a black and white contrast
Stay
between
underwater,
us.
Gary.
Right? I mean,
Stay up
we
above
are
cloud
marching
and
in
time.
entirely different parades, going in entirely different directions.
Yeah. I mean, do you think though? I mean, I want to have this as a discussion. I don't want to argue. I mean, do you think that our disagreement is one that comes down to fact, or is it psychological? I mean, is it we both have different psychologies? Is it I'm being psychological and you're dealing with the facts, or we have different psychologies? Do we have different values? Are we pointing to different
facts?
Values.
That's the premise.
Values are a lot of it. I mean,
see,
these
guys are probably the root of my doing the embedded contradiction book. Like seeing people clash and listening to it probably guided me to develop rudiments that I believe are in contradiction or at some point must be considered in contradiction to one another, which is the same light kind of saying, well, we can both project, but our projections have different form, type, style, accent, or some difference, some interpretable difference, such that that part of the landscape is not shaped the same way for me that it is for anybody else. And so that was clarifying. The internet was clarifying, and I think these arguments may have some show a particular shape of a breach in the ground of where contemporary argumentation and argumentation amongst us or discussion amongst all the voices that are focusing on voices arrive at kind of like the center of not a Tootsie Pop but a pubis knot of verbal slop. Right, like a hairball you pull out of your bathroom drain, It's like that's kind of what this group feels like, but it was edifying to know it's just this gob of what, like Anton's saying, well, we're just monkeys yapping down here, but that wasn't his clever phrase. I'm certain he's parried and co-opted and paraphrased without credit plenty of items. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I figured. Anyway, back to your plan.
Okay, some of the facts. But I think
But isn't value a we're just disagreeing over it?
I don't think.
I mean, ultimately, there's a truth, isn't there? I mean, there's a truth out there about what really meant something.
Yeah, Gary, don't
Like, let's
vape
say when it's
or
all
smoke.
over, and you have to
how you can be reduced. Like, take for example, let me give you an example of smoking. Like in a lot of European cultures, they know smoking is bad for them, and they go, you know what? I'd rather die of smoking than quit, and they value smoking. Now we go, oh, that's horrible. They should try to live long, and they should be. This is exactly that problem for me.
Yeah, well, they're taxing them up the bazoo now too. You can't smoke in Europe anymore either. Okay, so that game's over. Those cultures have.
People
if you can afford $10 a pack, so yeah, you have to work an hour a day just to smoke cigarettes.
Well,
I mean,
I think
it's
there's something
ridiculous.
instead of meaningful work. I think people need meaningful work. They need to work many hours a day. It's something creative. They need to put their hands.
Oh, come on, that works if you got a job that isn't picking up cans full of maggots. I mean, come on. I mean, who wants to do the real hard work? You want to work in a hospital and mop up vomit all day?
Good guy.
I sure as fuck don't.
Well, why don't you, Gary?
There's a total problem of needing meaningful work. It's not just people need jobs. It's employers and.
Well, I know, but we know that a lot of work that has to get done isn't going to be fun.
Be a janitor, because I won't. I'm Gary.
A lot of the work that needs to be done isn't going to be fun.
Yeah.
So it can't be meaningful in a personal way. It can only be meaningful in a productive way. They're not going to enjoy the work. Okay? It's going to be a burden.
Yeah.
Gary's apologizing for taking government funds that Mexicans and Cubans work for.
Despite not wanting to have to do
And other
it.
Americans and humans.
Relied upon
People.
feeling like doing everything that needed to be done, many things wouldn't get done. I mean,
As I
sometimes
do.
I know, but we know there's a certain symmetry. You could build a society where, yeah, you could eliminate a lot of that, and our work could be our pleasure. You could, working could be like watching a movie if we construct our society the right way and we're meticulous about conforming and creating people suited to these things and all that kind of crap. So ideally, the idea. I mean, work is not a good word to me. I love the idea of being productive, but the word work, I'm always going to feel a little bit like, no, I can't say anything good about that. It sucks that we have to work. It just sucks.
I mean, I guess I think of things like the importance of physical exertion and effort, and whether a person wants to just be in a sport or have something, an activity. We're in an obese culture. I think.
See, I like that Anton doesn't respond the way I would. Anton doesn't address the class of working. He brought it right down to he just approached it differently than I would have approached that argument. And so that's the novelty of Anton, is that he does have some padding to him, but it's so Muppet-like. He's like wearing Muppet outfits. And I think that's what you're rebelling against, and that's why when you don't shower for 5 days, Wolf, you look like a mangy wolf. Oh yeah, take a shower. Keep that. Get back to the video. Kidding.
Looking back on people. I think.
Well, of course, I'm all for that. I mean, obviously, you see my videos. I'm into this whole idea of being passionate about life, and I live life kind of passionately. So yeah, I would agree 100%. It's great fun to have a fight with a tree or whatever you're doing. Do your little personal physical.
Have a fight with a tree. That's a great idea.
Look at me, okay? I mean, I'm the animal, okay? I have no problem doing the Tarzan be the animal thing. My body conforms to nature. I'm just saying my brain doesn't. My understanding doesn't.
Cigarettes are good for you, doctors say. In 1950, 4 out of 5 doctors agree that cigarettes are good for
you. I am knowledgeable. You can't fool me anymore. I'm just not going to role play. I will not role play.
Right. I mean, I for my own, I would say that sensibility that you're describing, which I feel as well, I think it's described in religious texts.
It's all ball barons. Learn to role play.
Suddenly gained knowledge and they felt a loss of innocence and a kind of fall from living mindlessly just in the world and knew pain in certain ways. I mean, that simple allegorical tale.
And now he justifies the category.
It's a story about the dawning of human psychology and the problem of realizing the burden
of understanding the game you're in, the traps you're being subjected to. But look at the Buddhist alternative description of that. The Buddhist alternative description is
yeah, life is bear traps, tiger traps, snares, and crap all over the place. There's not a damn. And scaling high-rise buildings.
What are you talking about? The movie Birdman?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's just, thing you can do about it, so tough crap. Well, there's no you there because they're not going to offer you a fake heaven and a fake glory and a fake finish. They're not going to give you the happily ever after. They're just going to say the fable sucks. Too bad. You lose something. They're going to say that you're not really there. You're not there. I mean, it's about shedding ego. I mean, I want to go back to this. You asked me, I think, a while back about, how bad would it have to get before I couldn't forgive? I think that was an interesting question. I worry about the future of humanity. I don't know what's going to happen. I do feel sometimes, my wife and I, we go roundabout all the time. She says it's getting worse all the time, and I go, look, it's no worse than it's ever been. It's always been a gory, hellish spectacle.
That's where Anton was ignorant.
Fireball in the sky, and there's animals running around eating each other. But I do think there still are, for me, there are horizons of feeling that come from forgiveness, and it's a kind of forgiveness for the unintended. Now, there is a whole level of, can you forgive the injustices that people do? Well, I think we try to do that, and we try to learn to do that. But I think there is a way of psychologically trying to forgive just the fact of being born, whatever that means. But as far as the large social ones, I mean, I don't know if you ever read it, but there's a wonderful little book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and he was a Holocaust survivor. I mean, he was in Auschwitz, and he tells the story about...
It's a good book, It's a nice book. I read it.
People giving up their faith in the camps, and what he did to stay sane, and how he learned about human meaning and what gives people meaning in that very abysmal condition. Exactly. Well, we're right back to my initial point. Okay, are you a philosopher or are you a psychologist? Are you a philosopher or are you a clown?
I'm about to know shit. Perfect. Great. Good God. I didn't think I was coming in as a wedge character. I don't think I am a wedge character. Am I a wedge character?
All right, let's psychology. Learning to overcome, learning to do the living thing. Doing the living thing is one thing. Okay? Defining and describing the life thing is another thing. See, I'm into let's define and describe the life thing. And if I can help you live, fine, but I'm not into your actualization as an individual human. What I'm doing philosophy. I'm attempting to describe our reality. Yeah, I mean, as far as the philosophy, I mean, I would just disagree with that. I would say not only can you not separate them, but I would say philosophically, I think the world is ambiguous, and people see
ambiguous.
He loves using that word.
Yeah, I love that word too. It was funny.
Whenever I hear him say ambiguous, just like I think of your musical.
Right. I just can't remember the song where I'm singing about ambiguity, or I think I say ambiguous ambiguity or something. But I gotta rewatch my own film. I'm more entertaining their mind space than my historic mind space currently.
Patience there. I think you have the fact. Well, you're saying there's no such thing as logic then or something. You're saying we don't have the tools or we don't have the instrumentation to logically describe the game of chess. Yes, we can describe the game of chess. We can describe it. No, you can't say that you're going to talk about philosophical truth and then have it be about something like suffering and sentience and value and say you're going to exclude psychology. That's meat and potatoes psychological issue.
I don't. What did he say? I might have to go to the restroom. I'm gonna go to the restroom.
And that is part of the truth. I fundamentally disagree with that. Of course, we could describe what we are. Try to come at it from like this way. Like take memory. Like
memory, in some sense, is subjective. I say, my memory is in my head.
Dude.
It has to do with my brain. But there's another sense in which
we can't. You gotta search for it. You just gotta search for it because we can't play their entire thing. We're not critiquing it. I mean, our critique is, we did critique. We're interrupting with critique, but we can't take an entire front to back
that's right.
discourse. Like, I don't believe. And I think that is a type of rip. I mean, it's the longest trailer, and I mean, if it was a 9-second thing and if it was a one-person thing, that's different. That's like a tweet.
Yeah.
It's like recording a trip. This is someone's whole data set. And so I'm just saying, like, if you want to critique that scene, get to that scene. Then talk here because you're plugged into the computer. You're the only one here, so don't be boring during this set that I'm going to the restroom. Okay, there you go. But you can't play anything.
Don't play anything?
Don't play anything.
Don't play anything.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a Blockify commercial right now, and I don't want to be that Blockify commercial, so I know what I'll do. Okay, anyway, you can keep playing, I guess, but I just wish that you get to it. Like, you didn't even tell me how many fucking minutes to sing, and you're just, like, playing it without giving me any other info, any ancillary data.
I know. I have the urge to stop playing it, but then you get all enthusiastic. Okay, play more. Yeah, okay.
Well, I have that visceral reaction to it. Like, I'm interested in it, actually, right? At the same time, it's like we're just critiquing, like we were just critiquing the one part about the theology argument, and you started their video like from the fucking beginning. Like, you didn't even fucking move it forward, I don't think. And I know this argument is closer to the back end of their whole fucking video, even though I don't remember how long it is, right? I don't actually know how long this argument is. An hour and a half, 55 minutes? Jesus, how long is this fucking thing? Figure out where you're at, chop forward, right? I mean, you're the one playing it. I'm not trying to be a dick because I'm bad with software.
Do you want me to stop playing it, or do you want me to find it quickly?
What?
We don't have to play the clips. This is your television show.
I'm just like, it's not mine to rip theirs. I mean, it's if you're not gonna speak on it, then don't like burden me to have to critique the damn thing. I mean, I know we're spitballing over it every now and again, but beyond that,
I don't give a shit. It's like,
dude, okay, just fucking play it. Just fucking play it then, right? Let's just get to the goddamn thing.
Okay, if you insist, clown.
But pause it periodically.
And the fact that it's not accomplishing anything, and it's at a very high price. It's like a car that burns gasoline but doesn't go anywhere. Why would you own a car that doesn't move and it just eats gas? In that analogy right there, going somewhere would be where? Where would be going somewhere? Productivity. Like I said, we know what's valuable. We know what's valuable. Comforting. Stopping harm. We can't stop harm in the universe. Okay, so the only way we can stop harm is by creating it first. We have to make the mess, then fix the mess. We have to make the wound, then bandage the wound. We ourselves are not a bandage. Do you really think that telling people that they cannot have children would not be an imposition of loss, hardship, and a kind of mental anguish and suffering? That some person
But the fact that it may be to them some psychological discomfort is irrelevant to the fact that you could just say, well, you're going to deny that it's inconvenient that we don't allow the drunk driver to drive drunk. Well, of course, he's now been inconvenienced because he has to take a bus or he has to find a friend somewhere.
See, I
Okay,
knew
but
he
the
was
fact
a witch. He
is that
casted
funny?
that on me. Yeah, he casted that on me because he turned me into that guy. Oh, yeah, I was never that guy until I met Gary, and then I became that guy. Jesus Christ, what a witch and wizard he is. Calling me a drunk, setting that forward in motion. That bastard. That's like being in a boat with 4 other people, like a raft, and you all have to paddle, but the asshole in front doesn't want to carry your weight while you're busy pissing in a can, right? And so then they take it out on you when you're back there and you're paddling. And Gary's that guy. Gary's the guy that thinks that he can hold his piss until they get to shore, or you just piss in the boat and you don't bother like pissing in a thing and then throwing it on the outside of the boat. Or just flopping your dick over the side of the raft and just peeing straight down into the water. See, it's so funny, man. And then I get this torch painting and then it's back to normal. I don't know what I'm, I just don't know about some things. Earning your Mardi Gras beads. Solar descent. Yep. Alerting the siren. Recharging the siren. Siren hunting. City set spiral. God or first spiral. Spiral clef. Spiral bell. Spiral on the Nile. Good Day Sun Spiral. Steampunkette. Thwarted Bonsai. Path Stopper. Laundry No. Should have been Laundry Yes. Kiss from a Derringer Witch. Shore Skip Spiral and Earning Your Mardi Gras beads. Thank you. Solar Descent. Heather Graham. Woody. Anyway, you can go ahead and play. We gotta get to it. We gotta just fucking get to this thing.
The burden is his. So, all right, you're doing these ridiculous comparisons. Let's take a real case. So there's a woman, there's a couple. Suddenly she gets pregnant unexpectedly. Right now, she wants that child. They weren't expecting it, weren't planning it. They're in love. He proposes, but by your argument, no matter what, she should abort because it would be.
Well, I'm saying logically, yes, because she's taking a huge risk with somebody else's welfare. Why should you be allowed to roll a set of dice the dice accidentally fell out of my pocket, and however they turn out, you're going to be the victim. So I got dice. How would you like it, Corey, let's say I have dice in my pocket, all right, and if they fall out of my pocket and they roll boxcars, a piano falls on you. Doesn't kill you, it just falls on you. Okay? And if it rolls snake eyes, you find $10 on the sidewalk. Alright? You wouldn't care for that, would you? That dice just fall out of my pocket and you get screwed?
Hey, lots of people came into the world that way, and many of them.
Well, I'm just saying, you wouldn't care for it as an adult, mature human who has an individual entity, you would.
Can you forgive? Can you forgive?
Not like to be subjected to that whimsy.
I think if the person were loving and were willing to say to me they were going to do their best given the contingencies, do I have the wherewithal to forgive? That to me is the question. Because
Well,
I think
again,
you're saying
I
it's an
think that's the
unforgivable
victim.
imposition.
I think that's the victim's right first, okay? And so there's lots of people I could put before you who would say, screw that bullshit.
So it wasn't like this person was selfish. They weren't just trying to get. Look, the fact is, I was given up for adoption. Okay, I was adopted. My mother She got pregnant when she was a teenager, was up in Madison, and gave me up. She could have aborted. Now, I personally am thankful. Now, if you're going to say that, well, I was just...
I know, but we know you aren't all adoptees and you aren't all babies. We're just saying that the odds are when you take all the permutations, Corey, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to have ALS. They're going to die when they're 6 years old. Are they going to be autistic? Are they going to be profoundly retarded?
Right.
All right? Who's going to speak for them? They don't get to fill out a form saying, no, I hate life and I curse my mother's vagina. I mean, they don't get to voice their opinion, okay, and say, don't fuck with me.
Because you work in a university. And you can't say that.
There's some more material you can draw on for your vagina joke.
I mean, my grandfather was severely disabled. He had one arm, he had one leg a little bit below the knee, one above the knee, and he had a very, very hard life. He never took one penny of pay from the government. I'm telling you, and I talked to him so many times. He was
10 years of chemotherapy. Would you go through 10 years of chemotherapy to save your life?
Yeah, I don't.
No. The point is you can always give examples of people who will accept the human condition that you might find abhorrent, where you would say, "Oh my God, they have to be out of their fucking mind. How could they live like that?" Would you be an 800-pound man that had 10 people taking care of you, right? You would feel like such an asshole. You would say, "This is disgusting. I have other humans serving my disgusting gluttony." You would find it abhorrent. So I'm just saying that the fact that there are people who will endure insane circumstances because they have some dopey psychology that says to them, I'm winning, doesn't mean anything to me. That is not testimony that I have to give any credence to.
They're not winning. They're shedding ego and they're being gracious and they're learning.
No, they're being insane, in my opinion. They're being insane, in my opinion.
You know anyone who survived a stroke and is severely disabled?
I survived a stroke, okay? I was disabled for a year. But the point is life hardship and overcoming hardship isn't the point. The point is that each individual is going to have a subjective definition of what's worthwhile, a personal definition. And there's no way to give authority to one over another. So in my opinion, the woman who finds the pee under her mattress extremely irritating is just as valid as the guy who says, yeah, go ahead, stick knives in me all day, because I don't care, because I'm going to live. Okay? I'm going to survive at all costs.
I mean, I guess all said and done, I mean, the more that I hear the argument, I guess I would try to shake it out as, should a person be able to champion the belief that people shouldn't have children? Yeah, go right ahead. I personally, I don't buy the argument. I don't find it persuasive. I think many people, children are the most valuable thing that they have in their lives. But I would really argue against a social policy. Anyone who would try to implement it as a social policy under the auspice of having the facts and that people who think otherwise are deluded. See, some of that kind of makes me nervous.
Just change the analogy to ending slavery. How far are you allowed to go? All right? I mean, what violence are you allowed to impose in your effort to abolish slavery? Am I allowed to kill a slave owner? Am I allowed to impose on some people and cause some chaos? Well, you say it is. You say it is, Corey.
Slavery
doesn't mean anything to you, just like meat eating or something else. I equate meat eating with concentration camps. They are just as bad, in my opinion. There's no distinction between taking a perfectly sentient pig and locking it in a cage and taking a sentient Jew and locking it in a cage. It doesn't fucking matter. The suffering is dramatic and significant and imposed for no good goddamn reason. My passion is justified. And just as we went to a war and murdered people, slaughtered people, bombed people, blew the legs off children to stop Nazis, I'm going to argue with you and I'm going to try to impose on you eventually. Yes, that's right, because you will be in position. You people playing with other people's welfare are the ones committing the goddamn crime, and I will try to stop them.
Having children is not a crime.
Sorry, in my opinion, it is a fucking crime. We have no authority, no environmental impact statement.
Having kids is not a crime.
I'm sorry. I have the authority to stop some
somebody wants to build a nuclear plant in their backyard in a soda farm. I'm going to stop this stupid lunatic.
These are, from my perspective, these are very false now. You don't want to have children. You don't have
I was born this way, Corey. I didn't come into existence because of my choice. I came into existence because of someone else's choice, Corey. So I am inevitably going to be a victim once again if I do not stop you, motherfucker.
All of us have answered the question, no, we asked you what kill was. And once you answered no, you're responsible.
I'm sorry, that's irrelevant. I'm not talking about killing yourself. I'm talking about doing Frankenstein experiments with somebody else's welfare. I'm talking about gambling with someone else's money. These are very different things than what you
have
used
any
to
money yet.
with your own existence.
They
The
didn't
point
have
is,
any money.
I will be back. I will be forced to get on this roller coaster that I think is disgusting. Again, I will be tied to the seat again by these lunatics who think they can control this experiment. They have no control. They have demonstrated no qualification. We can look at human history and see the slop and the mess. They are totally incompetent. They have no right to have this arrogance to think they can do this God-like behavior. I will create.
No,
Fuck you.
Animals procreate. It's not godlike. Again, I don't.
It's not a license. The fact that a DNA molecule reproduced 4 billion years ago is not what I would call qualification.
But qualification comes from a single couple of people thinking about the issue.
Qualification comes from being able to write a simple explanation of why you have the authority to impose on another individual. Explain to me why you have a right to subject somebody
impose
else
words?
to potential great harm. Why do you have that right?
The imposition. Okay, so let's get. And again, I think we're going.
It's coming up. It's coming up. It's coming up.
Watching this at this point, maybe we should.
They'll be watching, but yeah, I don't want to go. It's exhausting.
We could leave it to
Nobody's
a
watching.
second dialogue, but I mean,
Exactly.
and maybe, God, I mean, Gary, I don't know what to say about all of that. I do think that, you know, to say to a person, here's why you ought to be very cautious.
There's Purple Clown.
Right.
Purple Smile
And
Clown.
you have to be really, really into it and love it and do it like this is your.
I haven't really argued any further than that, have I? I haven't made videos talking about draconian policy like I want to kill all of you people or something. I haven't argued that point. I have argued for exactly that. Write a paragraph. Explain to me what you intend to accomplish by reproducing. Okay? And then that is
I'm sorry, this is.
Jesus criminy. No, it is fun. It is good. I mean, we're doing it. We're critiquing it, but you got to lay in the critique now. I mean, what do you think? What are you getting from this? What did you ever get from it?
All I'm getting from all of this is between you playing the harmonica and these, it's just, it's just madness. And then Gary's holding up his hand, and he's pointing to his hand, like implying that you must write out a contract. Why? Like he's the authority.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird in that way. But continue. I mean, what else do you think? I mean, that Gary was pulling out a contract of authority. Is that what you said? I mean,
no, just he was saying, you know, like he's.
It's a fucking crime. It's a nuclear meltdown. It's like I wouldn't fucking let a nuclear plant go in my backyard either. Like,
I know. I thought I was gonna like have a heart attack or something.
I know you're freaking over that one. I've got part of my website going on the video aspect of this particular recording now. It's still recording.
Yeah.
I don't even know how long we've been on the phone, but I mean, I guess I could check. It's been a while.
Almost 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one hell of an interview. I think this was a disclosure again, and I think what I'll do is I'll link your Instagram account, Wolf, and name you Wolf of Winchester there in the old subject line, and we can kind of close it up. Even though the thing that's disappointing about this whole thing is that we still haven't gotten to the goddamn part.
I think it's a 2-part video.
Are you shitting me? You're lying. You're lying. What part are you on right now? What are you talking about?
Well, actually,
now just tell me what percentage to the end of the video are you playing right now?
There's about 20 minutes left.
Oh my Christ. Oh my Christ.
10 minutes, actually, 10 minutes.
You're making that up now just to make me feel better. I think you need to move ahead a little, or did you cut and paste any of this video? I just feel like, we can't just disclose someone's full content. Like, I think that's against terms.
From the exact beginning. Plus, we stopped it here and there.
No, I just don't know whether or not you can move it forward like 3 minutes or something.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, do that then. You should be using the cut-up technique. Jesus. That was my point.
In some way is exactly the point I was trying to raise, which is it would seem then that you're not making an imposition upon that person in the way you are.
What it goes into.
You just keep interrupting. You're imposing upon a person by telling them they can't have children, and yet you just admitted that there wasn't a person to be imposed upon. That's a logical contradiction.
What do they have, Corey? Do they have a person or do they have a children? I'm saying they have a person. Okay, they don't have a children. They have a human being. They create a human being. So it's not a baby.
There's a person
okay, it's not a Tonka toy.
There's a person who wants to have
a
children.
fucking human being that they are responsible for initiating into existence. We can't separate it from that fact.
Yes, you got
right? They're responsible.
Every bit of it. You have to be willing to be responsible for your actions. That's right. I think responsibility for one's actions is major there. I guess it would seem like you're denying that to say
sounds like you got the old sunflower seeds, the corn nuts going.
Not enough imposition.
Chips.
Aborting
I don't
is
mind.
not an imposition.
The two biggest things you can do in the world, Corey, is to kill somebody or to create somebody. Okay, those are biggies. All right? Sure. Now, if I'm going to kill somebody, you're going to have the expectation to explain why. You're going to say, give me a reason. Who's this guy you're going to kill, and why are you going to kill him, and what are you going to accomplish by killing, and how will the world be affected by his death? All right? I'm just saying to these imposers of life, I want them to answer these questions. Sure. Why are you qualified to impose this life? What are you going to accomplish by imposing this life? What's the consequence of this life in the world? What will this life do in the world?
I would say yes. I think that of a person as a
Cautionary tale of whatever in magnificence.
Concerned, yeah. I think should there be a parenting license? Yeah, I think that's an interesting. I think that's very different than categorically no. And those who seem to
we can agree on things that are on the same road, okay? You don't have to go all the way down the road for us to have agreement. So we can agree that this is an act that should be done with heightened responsibility, a heightened sense of care, concern.
Yes,
this is one of the most important things you do in your life. It's not something you just do like drawing crayon on paper.
I agree. I think too many people are way too cavalier about the way they go into child rearing. That you can't want lots of friends and have a career and want all these other things, lots of vacation, and also throw some kids in there. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be
especially one or two autistic ones, right? Be ready for every probability and possibility.
I have lots of friends with disabled kids.
Well, and you've seen what it does to lives then, right? I've seen what it does to their life.
Their other kids are ruined. Their marriage is ruined. Many people it brings out beautiful, beautiful senses of character. It's struggle. It's painful. It's horrible. They wouldn't have wanted it. They wouldn't choose it again. But many people have found new feelings, new senses of character that they wouldn't have had. It's very like I said, I've seen the other side of that coin, which is everybody grows older quicker, and every bit of life is turned into shit. Okay, absolute shit. So, but whatever. We can. I'm not.
And we can end on that.
Piero said, "You want love. Everyone deserves love. That you want love, and everybody deserves love." And I thought that was an interesting sentiment for him to say, because I was like, but then I had retracted with this idea about how cold that I was.
When did he say that?
During the talk yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. But it wasn't, it was more like a lamenting, but then I was kind of driving it home like, well, yeah, I guess my heart is kind of like a brick that's been dragged, on, to flatten a road. It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah, okay, let's just kind of like plow this way. And that's like the residual artifact of what I'm working with when I'm like, but then again, see, this lady tomorrow gives me this weird, like, I don't know what to say. Like, she's flowery and light and interesting, but I feel as if she's misled. And at the same time, I want her not to be misled, but I want her to be led, towards me. But if I'm merely a fucking clown, if that's the sum of my being, then, it'd be cool if she liked a clown too. But the thing is, I have no idea whether or not she's going to be like weird or odd, but that's what I was trying to say earlier, is that I think there's only, like, have you ever met somebody and you answered about some guy, but it was like so gracious with their words, or maybe I said to you like soft or caring, but I mean something like a light graciousness. And anyway, this argument is definitely not at all like I imagine tomorrow to be. I'm even rough around the edges. I mean, just being around all you guys, it's like, it's crazy. You're
every
edgy.
time I have a conversation with you, you are usually the one who instigates and encourages kind of, I don't know, rough talk.
My website says when Mike isn't ghost hunting, nor jumping off roofs, he maintains as a barely upstanding citizen within his community, not only because he can barely stand, but because he runs contra to traditional social values, besides painting. Mike likes to work on quirky comedic acts, political stunts. He also enjoys playing drums, gaslighting his friends, swimming, philosophy, and faking his own death.
And don't forget about buying $100 worth of miners.
Yeah, don't forget to buy flits, everyone. I'm going to put an ad in underneath if you guys want to join in. You want to be the richest guy in some graveyard. So one of my jokes is that that fella Randy, he was anti-supernatural. What was his name? God, now I forgot his name. See, I can't do the joke if I don't remember the guy's name. Never mind. Let's just play the video. I'll use my joke when I'm doing a stand-up thing. Anyway, okay. Let's get to this. Let's get this done. Let's get this over. Keep chewing. Jesus, the whole thing was just about
arguing at all.
It's theology.
It's basically
a theology.
Basically over.
So basically we're inviting the audience to look up the remaining part of the video. That's why you should DM me the video link, and then I can put it in the
Has
undercurrent.
anybody interacted in your live?
No, it's not. It's not live. This is merely recording. This is not live.
Oh.
So by the time it airs, it'll be in the future. It won't be now. It'll be after a time. And then your voice will reappear online. You can't just leave it behind you like a turd. Anyway, I think it's fine.
What do you make of this?
Through revelation, me Mazda speaks with Das Puke. The place, my love, stood when I died.
Wow.
In second death, the face. And my God stood before me, standing before God, and did not judge me upon the state of my body, as I did not, and earlier laughed heartily at that decree. And my Lord, our Father of Christ, did say, I will meet you with my white knights, and you shall be carried by steeds and about whitened rainbows.
Is this the same guy who's trying to get laid?
If the lady's gonna get laid by a steed, yeah.
Oh man.
And then me Mazda spoke again with sympathy in his voice, and did whisper quickly behind my ears. For those men and women, all and none, that flickered away your lives in black or white spirit, and minds with the grace of my white coating, did never taste my hair, and did never smell wet rock or the skin of your child, and those who
I love your off-camera vacant stare.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you kind of have this detached vacancy in your eyes, like there's nothing behind them.
I recorded these the day after we saw the orb. The next day I woke up bright and early and I started recording, and I knocked out like a lot of them in the next 48 hours. So I was like just feeling, because like at that point I realized, even though I have this book, even though this thing has been written, it's coinciding tangentially with the orb. Like something, I mean, nothing in the book of Das Puk has anything to do with orbs as far as I know. But it does now, meaning the history of the translator of the me that is all that I am, that it is, that I've done, that I am, that I am, that I am, that I am, and spinach and such. Okay, back to them.
Followed Thos Puk's begotten son's writing, ye shall be reborn to my Shiva, whose planet was broken and needed our refuge, not piercing and apostate. I am the Lord of hosts,
awesome.
dissidents, and you played your life shortly and with but one chord, and thy older souls my ode fly hither to my right hand. What do you look like when you agree with this? What now is your mental posture?
How did you write this text? It sounds like you were cutting up texts of religious artifacts.
Well, no, I was using I was using a deconstructive technique. I was influenced. I wasn't mistaking Burroughs' cut up as a deconstructive technique, but I wasn't fully versed in deconstruction at this point either. So I was presuming a deconstructive method. And that's part of the translation, the quote-unquote translator, the quote-unquote me translating, I got all these feathers here. My cat brought in 2 dead mice.
My cat brought in 2 dead mice, and he brought in 2 dead birds prior to that. And there's feathers that are everywhere. I vacuum up, he brings another bird in and blows it up. And then this one, the body's just gone. It's gone. I could never find the body. There was just feathers. It's like he came in, wrestled with it, and took it back out again. But these mice, he brought in. And anyway, I gave them a 3-day rite of rescission to come back to life, and they didn't. So I ended up burying them in the great dumpster outside. Anyway, back to the play here. You better
What
just
space is it
finish
within?
up them.
What character have you become? I ask you this, too, because by the grace of our Lord, your points will be made, and they will be apparent, and they will have a place at wars and battles, but they shall be tucked away when you enter my house, lest my young princess, I shall take you for stupid and move you with my left hand, or I shall have you an earthly spot for eternity. 3. Achieving the rim of thy forgotten tear is thy job for all of my true priests, that thy daughters should encourage. For only at this lattice will you learn thy passage and path to your mother's and father's heaven. Thou tree will grow robust if thy seed is laid in this soil. Thy heavenly Father, thy Father who art in heaven.
I like to go to the park and paint. Clown! I live in Utah. I'm very hesitant to go to Montana because Mom and Dad still live here, and I want to protect them. And please, I want to get laid, but I can't.
Conversation will halt, and on the week of this day thy sons in pairs shall find their Lord's way home, as well as the true prophet's armor. Regardless that Satan kills thy innocents, so that justice may be done against Satan, thy new warrior will brand this threat and remember with litany a great saint's declaration of our nation's home of the brave, and not mistaking themselves for thy land's natives, nor name wrongly their lineage. They shall attack for blood and salvations to our Father's second tier in that heaven. Physicians will not be spared. Their work is noble and unholy it is. When war crescendos, their lives will be at stakes along with death, and then my hand.
Dude.
Thy Lord, thy God.
Dude, go back to their video, get to the theology part, and then we can wrap it up. But we got to get to it. We got to just get back to it. I mean, if it's still there. If you got the window quickly accessible.
Well, it was going to be over in a few minutes, and highly unlikely.
Well, no, I think it is at the end. I think that's when they wrap it up. Kind of. I don't know. I should have remembered it where it was on there. But I think it's right at the end.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen the other side of that coin, which is everybody grows older, quicker, and every bit of life is turned into shit. Okay, absolute shit. So, but whatever. We can. I'm not arguing that all is bad. I'm arguing that the bad is bad enough that we can't justify it. That's the argument. The argument isn't that there aren't something good about this life thing. I'm saying most of it's synthetic, most of it's Cheetos, but even if I can see that there was a good, I'm just saying the price is too high. Yeah. It's an irrationally high price we're paying.
Yeah. For me, I guess maybe we'll just try to, I'll say some things and you want to wrap up or whatever. I don't want to take the last word, but I think for me, it's kind of like the life is justified. Its horrors and injustices they're part of the complex, ambiguous set of relations that evolve in order to give us this, what we do call intelligence, what we do call life. I think people need more. They need to find the resources for meaningfully engaging the world.
Anton is like insulation here.
For ending their own.
The insulation philosopher.
Of violence and of all justice. But I think, telling people that no more children, to me, it robs the world of really one of my
life's great riches. I mean, many people, and maybe it's selfish, but they love babies. They love the thought of the next generation of, with beginner eyes, grandparents. They love to look at the thought of grandchildren growing, and they don't. I mean, they realize the horrors at that point. I think most grandparents. Grandparents have, you know, they're past the age. They've seen enough. I think they look at the grandkids though, and many people are scared about the future of tomorrow. Many remain hopeful that there will be forms of resilience, that there is a dawning awareness. I think the disgust that you feel toward all of the horrors are in fact a kind of raised or elevated moral sensibility, which is its own kind of progress. I believe there is a moral progress that's being registered by the felt disgust over the horror of it all.
Well, we can agree on that. I mean, to me, the logical conclusion is ethically high, so the truth will win in the end. So to speak, if we don't dock ourselves into the Stone Age, the arguments will be made, the truth will be revealed, just like we revealed the truth that slavery is stupid and that women are human beings and all these other truths that we acquired. We will learn this higher ethical mandate that you don't do this recklessly, you do this very well, you do it well, or you don't do it at all. Okay? And I would argue that some of this glory talk about your wonderful Rockwell images, to me, is almost Rockwell as the plantation owner. Oh, let's, you know, the spectacular plantation, the beauty, and the wonderful white gowns, and the beautiful dancing, and the beautiful music, all while the humans toil in the field, in the futile effort just to get a carrot for dinner. I mean, that to me is there is an ugly, you wash the veneer of the Rockwell off, and there are skeletons and demons and horrors behind it. It's painted in blood.
It's a bloody spectacle that human history stands upon, but it's,
But hey, I'm a professor.
Hey, it's a bloody human rats that are squirting out.
I think we need a very large time scale. It's only been about, 10,000 and then only about 2,000. I mean, the sort of revolution of Love of the Stranger is only a couple of thousand years old. I mean, some of this is, we'll have to see how it unfolds. What's that?
200 years, I would argue. Darwin on. Okay, that's the real acceleration of understanding. Is Darwin, Einstein are kind of sewed it up for us, and now it's just a matter of us getting used to those ideas.
Oh, see, that would be okay. I think that let's leave that as the point of maybe pick up for dialogue too. Would be, to what extent is the scientific revolution the grounding for love, and to what extent did Christianity pave the way for science? I would love to have that discussion.
Okay, why don't you answer that?
Gary, thank you for making the time. It was really fun.
Yeah.
What?
That was good. All right.
Take care, man.
Yep.
Dude, you're shitting me. You mean that wasn't even that? You mean there really is a second video?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so here we are. And
really? Is Anton addressing me on that one at all?
Is this the relation between the present and the future? Is that
the point? Is that we're all balls on the pool table. We all impact each other. We all impact each other. I'm not
just splatted on the cement. Two stories, one wicked, delusional night. And my bones are spattered for life now.
Don't get caught up in it. It'll change their direction, just like Einstein would say you would change the direction of a photon. I'm trying to affect them with this statement. You're an idiot. I'm not trying to do anything other than affect them. I'm not judging them. I'm affecting them.
Yeah, they walk off.
That's how we roll. Say something.
Well, if you wanted to take any of them, I just do them at $15 at...
No, it was just I hit the play button, so while they were right
about here, just splatted on the cement. Two stories, one wicked, delusional night.
I just splatted on the cement.
My bones are spattered for life now.
This guy's fucking insane. What the fuck?
I take my comedy to the next level. I take my psychosis back a notch, my comedy to the next level. Criminy, man, what have I gotten my life into? You know? But, I mean, if you agree with everything that Gary says, it's like, in one way, to die quick and young and not knowing that it's even coming is probably like a blessing. I want the guy that played Jax in Sons of Anarchy, whatever that actor's name was. I was just watching this Amazon flick of him going from like England in the 18th century to Amazon to look for a city of gold down there that he says he was getting close to. Then he went there 2 more times, and the last time he took his son. The first time's his son. When he was leaving, he got his wife pregnant, or he had his first son, and then the next time he had gotten his wife pregnant with another son and then a daughter. But anyway, it was an interesting movie because they either are lost or dead, but it was just this idea of the son thanking the dad, and the dad had struck the son, like meaning smacked him hard across the face, because his son did not like the fact that he was going on a second journey, a second voyage, and leaving him, and tried to humiliate the dad. And but he was still quite young at the second voyage, and so the son ends up talking the mom into letting him go, and even the mom was having a hard time with this because she didn't go on any of the voyages. But and the guy was gone for like a couple of years, and it was a real, it's like a documentary, but I can't even remember the name of it. Anyway, the point is something about the Inmendham talking about the tumbling towards death, and knowing how like no one's gonna enjoy it, But then I think Gary just presumes that the body can't just like stop when it stops, when either the powers that be or itself or whatever, the body stops. It's like it can, meaning people can pass fast. In one way, it sounds like your aunt is passing slowly, or she's simply passed as far as you guys are concerned, or as far as science is concerned, and that's a bummer. That's a bummer. I mean, from my point of view, it's a bummer. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like hearing about death, and so it was odd to hear Piero talk, not gallantly, because he said he was pissed off for like a good 24 or 48 hours or something, like just really, really pissed off. And then it's cooled down since then, I guess. Anyway, it's so weird listening to Gary and the feedback upon me. I do feel like an animal and like a clown. And Anton does seem as if he's, very thoughtful and insulary in approach, philosophically. And so it's just weird that I mean, like, that you pin me as a clown. Like, well, the gall, the nerve.
Why? What else would you be?
Well, I'm the Meister. I'm the Meister.
Did they walk off?
Yeah, they walk off. Well, if you wanted to take any of them, I just do them at $15. It's got to match whatever you're doing.
God, man, my new T-shirts when I was wearing the one out in the park this summer that said, It said, I'm your matrix contact, or it just says your matrix contact. That got some weird eyes on it. That was a weird day, a weird interplay. Different than the God is a Moron t-shirt I wore several years ago. That one was a rough racket right there, but that one was a fun day also. As far as
Did
like
people get aggressive? Some people.
the guy that got most aggressive was a fellow vendor that sold stones, and he said, "Man, you shouldn't be wearing that. You're just going to offend a lot of people, and I don't think you should be, you should be aware of that." And I said, "Yeah, I know, yeah, I know." And at the same time,
Are you wearing the shirt to start a dialogue?
Well, no, I was gonna wear the shirt that says if you look at it straight on, it says useful idiot, because someone else says this. They're useful idiots, right? So I thought, get a T-shirt that says useful idiots. But yeah, pluralize it, but cover it up, and then pluralize it with a question mark after, right? Useful idiots? Question mark. Just like this whole video, Anton and Gary and you and I were just useful idiots for whoever the fuck is going to listen to this video later. What the fuck are you doing, man? You totally played that whole goddamn thing, and we never got to the theology part. It's like if I was Joe Rogan and you were my helper, even though you did great, I would still be bummed that you had us watch a whole video.
Well, this is I think that this is pretty good for spur of the moment. I mean, usually these kind of really Joe Rogan podcasts, there's some preparation involved, I would assume.
Well, but was this their second commentary or this their first one? This was the one of two, or was this two of two?
That was the first one.
Okay, Jesus. Well, that was a walk down memory lane for sure.
It could have been a complete waste of your time. I mean, you often do long form videos where you're just out of the room for several minutes, 40 minutes at a time sometimes.
Well, that's when I didn't give a shit about things. That's when I had things were different. Now I know people got an attention span. I still just don't give a shit, but I know they have an attention span now. Okay. And mine is, unfortunately, I could probably do a bunch of Twitters with these sayings, but I figured, why, get them on T-shirts first in case somebody likes them. And they're rotten. I wanted to make my United Rape of America T-shirt. And I thought, that to me, it became soul-crushing when I thought, what would this be like if I wore my United Rape of America artwork and it says United Rape of America on it around the picture, or, above and below it. And I haven't designed it yet. And my biggest crisis is that I'm not as productive as I need to be with what it is I've already created. Instead, what I like to do is just keep dump loading, back loading, and front loading the output end, and then expanding it and guilting myself, and then playing myself against myself, for myself, meaning producing 3 pieces at once type of thing, where every one of them is going to slack or be dilated or be tied to each other in kind of a rough time frame. And I don't know, it's weird, this condensation of approximation to things in time. So the fact that this video was I think I was interacting with Gary substantially earlier than before Anton came onto the scene. And I wish somebody had the videos of Anton responding to me, because he did a few and then he took them down.
And that I had videos hidden at the time, and he got so upset that I didn't open them up so he could delete his comments. He was so bitter.
He deleted videos he made about you.
Yes, and he deleted comments that he left on my videos also, as soon as I opened them. Which I think is interesting. But I think he was trying to distance himself from me. You know. And you know, I did think like, hey, go out there and sit in the back of his classroom, right?
I had no idea Corey Anton did a TED Talk.
Well, it was a secondary TED Talk, but it's a good TED Talk. I think it's a good TED Talk. And he did I think it was something about general semantics, like an assembly on general semantics, where he did a talk. And then he did another one the previous, like I think he did one this year during COVID.
This video says what Anton smuggles in when he says language and we.
Well, that's going to be beautiful.
I just looked at the last video I posted, and I had strung way too many things together over 15 minutes, and I just wasn't clear with everything. So I decided, not to mention I about went to sleep. So. By the way, doesn't this look like Meridian Frost? Okay. So, what I'm wanting to say is this, and sorry to the 24 people that already watched the video before I decided to shut it down. My criticism of you from the beginning is
so sanctimonious.
It's really weird because I feel as if you are accusing me of being an essentialist when in fact, I want to reverse that and say, no, I believe you're the one that is an essentialist. But by this, I'm saying that every single time you use the word we, you're referencing all of humanity. And then you reference language. You say language has these rudimentary aspects to it necessarily. And that these...
See how much I self-project this argument?
Is ubiquitous and universal. That's how you're referencing. That's your premise. And so I'm saying that you necessarily are associating certain aspects to language, and you're speaking as if, and you do this constantly, as if
presumption.
This is the only way language could possibly be. Now, here are these aspects. You're saying that their language includes theology. It includes counting and mathematics. It includes time binding and history. It includes episteme and telos. You haven't stated that one, but the whole idea of being able to embed or have a notion of embedding. And the language includes puns and logical reframings. So you'll take these aspects and you'll hold dear to them. As a matter of fact, this is where my criticism is that you will not shave them off. And I'm trying to say now, and this is not about oral noetics, which is more about sounds and clicks and whistles and the sort.
Really? Oh man! You mean to say the refrigerator that's on your roof that's making a clicking noise?
It might be. Like I might be sub-referencing whatever my previous experience was right then. Like, hey, have you heard about this one? Anton, let me tell you about it. It's got these clicks on it, and it's noetics, and no, I don't
like I'm listening to myself like very brick-like presume the ubiquity of his statements of all, and when I wrote the embedded contradiction, I was like, there's a huge lesson to learn between all and none and all and some. Even if the sum is, many or more than the average, then you can still reference all. It's like when people say roses are flowers, but not all flowers are roses. But if you're looking at only a patch of roses, like let's say as far as your eyes are seeing at the moment, there's only roses that are flowers, then the limit, the periphery, the involution in one way, yeah, the totality of flowers are roses. It's isomorphically 1-to-1 at that point. The notion of a greater category is like an optics anxiety. It's like, no. If you want to see this in focus, you stand at this distance. You relax your eyes so you're not crossing them. You're seeing everything in focus. Something like that. Kind of like the Wii game where they learned that the inverse movement of a paddle relative to an item on the TV could do a stellation into the game, and then you got Wii controllers, which I guess there's controllers now are far more advanced than Wii. They're like probably Wii plus. I don't know. I don't play games. Maybe I should. Anyway, what are you getting out of all these Das Pook videos? And I think I'm feeling muddled. Thanks for asking me. Man, it was just so weird because like I was joking in my documentary about like, it's really weird when you pay yourself for your own art. But it was like used in the setting and the tone to like justify a type of idiocy that is echoed through like syncopata with psychosis, or like only a psychotic individual or split-minded would think they were paying themselves.
Only a psychotic individual can get another psychotic individual and encourage him to pick up the paintbrush.
See, I'm not even painting tonight. And I should be, because I saw what I needed to add to my brother's painting. Yeah. It's interesting like that.
You might as well,
I know, like, I'm not, like, I'm upset because I can't, my older brother has changed morphically, shape and color wise, meaning there's no like ideal image of anyone, but there are well stylized images of everyone. And I wish I was more pointed on how one's personality could be like accented through caricature, but not necessarily doing a caricature of the person, but just accenting certain features of them. And by that accord, I was like, I kind of have lost like a heavy meditation on my older brother. And at one point, at several points, well, not several, but 3, I lived in Seattle and I lived around my brother and saw him on a more regular basis than I did the rest of my family. And so now that I'm back here doing a painting of him from there, and I haven't seen him in a long time, and I almost think I normally do like a yearly trip up there, and I think I'm not. I haven't done it. Maybe I got to go back up that way instead of trying to, go south for the winter. Go. Don't frozen birds fly north for the winter? Isn't that what's up there? Northern birds.
well, maybe we should end this recording now.
I think. Hey, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you online? Go on, why don't you tell them?
I'd rather not.
Well, I'm going to just pin you to it anyway, so why don't you just say it and, like, bolden up and own your part in this interaction today? You just want to be shy? You don't like that? You just want me to put it on? You just don't want me to put it on? You don't want me to say Wolf of Winchester on Instagram?
I mean, you've already said it.
Yeah.
So, and you said it right now. I don't need to reaffirm it.
Well, right on. Well, hey, it's interesting how you what you selected and how it is you went through, and I really liked how you dodged and weaved through with little clicks and corn pops and laughs and little things to break up the algorithm a little bit from just like, oh God, look at these guys just like.
And don't forget the perfectly timed automated laugh track.
Yes. I did fart once, and I think would show up audio.
And there were, very detailed descriptions of you taking a piss in a sink.
Well, I just hope that tomorrow goes at least as well as tonight did, with all of its weird bing bongs and bumper car bumps, or like I'm identifying with a pinball bumper because I'm the size of the ball. I hope that's out tomorrow. Yeah. And that's the thing is, I mean, I hate this. Like, to me, I'm echoing between sin and non-sin, sense and nonsense.
I'm sorry.
No, yeah, even if you played a little bit more of that, it would be fine. But maybe I should take the recording off air. It's just, because it is. I mean, I almost want to say it's embarrassing to hear me try to like project someone's argument onto them that they didn't say, because I can't get over the all or none absolutism of you're saying all and that means ubiquitous area. And I thought that was just a very naive, like very defensive. Like I was like, man, I can't be topped by this guy. I better come up with something, say something. But my best arguments with him had to do more with Derrida. But I don't mind when I'm pushing forward here. It's a little push and pulley, So I mean, I got to appreciate my own my own acumen to argue at that time several years ago. I think I was never on a debate team. Philosophy club, but not a communications guy. So, and definitely not modern communications the way, I learned several things from Anton also. It has to do with mimicking and accepting and then releasing, but there's definitely things that I can't teach anybody else unless, like they can listen, they can believe it or not believe it, but, it's like, I don't know what to say on that. It's kind of just brute facts. Anyway, with that, perhaps, everyone, I am Mike Fahl, F-A-H-L. This is Das Pook with the Wolf of Winchester.